Yeah. Somebody fuck it on. All right. Call to order the work session, 5:30. We have a shared vision in the Fernwood School District to provide excellence for every student so that each will reach their greatest potential. Thank you to the members of the public who have joined us. As a reminder, school board meetings and work sessions are meetings of the board held in public, providing an opportunity to observe the board's decisions and actions. And in effect, to conduct effectively board business, we ask that the audience be respectful and refrain from questions, comments, and or unnecessary noise while the board is conducting the meeting. Also, please note that all board meetings are live streamed and posted on the school board website. Call the meeting to order. First up, OSB Summer Conference. So 3 of us went. Lisa, you want to share any quick thoughts on the conference?
So the conference I absolutely love, every year. This year I thought I was gonna cut it short and come home early, but I was there until the last minute. So that was very, very nice. I felt a little bit of a different kind of tone in the atmosphere, but as far as the work sessions and I love them. So it's just a world of information. Fifth one, and I walk out of there every single time. Just go.
Mark, you were there. How did it go for you?
It was great. It was kind of dispel some myths, and some of them were just, me not understanding. We had the OSBA webinar that we did, and that was a good introduction. The website's pretty good. I was like, okay, now I know what my resources are. We can use to reach out to different offices they have there. It's good to see it like a second time with context, because they're talking, the working groups. People got to ask questions. A lot of us have the same questions. There's a variety of experience there, so brand new people as well. A lot of brand new people. Yeah, now I know we can kind of lean on if we have specific questions with regard to drafting stuff, legal questions, updates that came down from Oregon and things like that. What challenges we're looking at. Just seeing more of how it happens rather than just showing up and trying to figure it out as we go along. It's pretty good.
So I went as well. I thought it was a great conference. I learned quite a bit. Prior to going, I thought OSBA was just an acronym for something. Yeah, right. But sitting in the audience here and listening over the last year, I thought it was a state agency. I didn't have any clue what OSBA was, so it was really nice to go learn what it was and learn that it's a resource. It's there for us as board members to reach out to. That's something I didn't realize. The representatives from OSBA are there. We can reach out to them whenever we want. Any of them. You can, Ryan can. There's names and phone numbers if you guys ever have a question. And you don't have to bring it to a meeting and ask, somebody to look into it and bring back the answer. You can actually call them yourself or email them yourself. Get your own answers. Great, glad you guys enjoyed it. Next up, superintendent goals and action. Goals. Yeah, I think those two over there.
At the retreat, I shared what my ideas for my 2 goals for the year. One on successfully meeting ground promises and one on academic achievement. Over the last few weeks, I've kind of filled out just a range of different action items to help with both of those. It's nothing you need to vote on, but I certainly take any feedback. This will be what I share at the very bottom. It mentions our executive sessions in November and February. So while we can talk about anything during those executive sessions around operations of the district, I'll definitely have data and some information on these 2 topics. and be able to share what has gone well and where I fell short. But again, this is just a summary of the tools and the things that I will use throughout the year. Not that there won't be others, but these are the top ones that I put on this document. So I'm open to, I know you're just seeing it, but open to any feedback on any of those things.
And this isn't something we need to take an action plan on, right?
Nope. If you want to, again, this definitely is something that, we're, you know, it's really just an internal document. It's not something I'm putting on the website or whatever. So if someone in a few weeks had something they wanted me to consider, even if it doesn't make it to this document, it's, oh yeah, I could do that to help with academic achievement or bond promises or whatever. So, I guess other than taking a few minutes to look through it, I just ask that maybe you take it away, and at the next board meeting, or see, you could even email me individually and say, hey, what do you think about this? And within the next month, we'll have it locked in. And like I said, in November and February, I'll update you on what's going well and what isn't. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Homework.
Never ends.
Board operating agreement. So at the retreat, we had, voted on a board operating agreement. Since then, we had 2 new ones submitted, and Gary has copies. You want to pass those out?
The pink one is from what we talked about at the retreat. The green one is from Miss Lisa with some changes, and the white one is Mark's version with some edits. So I'll just send it out in packs of 3.
If I'm right, there's quite a lot on the agenda. That's what you're telling me. There's quite a lot for us to be able to get through. If you want to push this one to the back of work session, so we can hit the things we need to hit, I'm happy with that.
Okay, so. I mean, I want everybody to get this, and since it's the first time actually receiving it, I can take a look at it real quick, but like. My suggestion is gonna be to do one of 2 things. I'm actually gonna make a motion once we all kind of talk about it. But, well, postpone it, not table it. Table it apparently, puts it on a table indefinitely until somebody else brings it up. I'm gonna make a motion to postpone this, so everybody can have an opportunity to read each other's, make their own notes and come back to it. I suggest that we either postpone it to the, that's why I want to discuss this first, is either postpone it to the next month's work session, or we can create a special work session where we just go over this in the next couple weeks.
Exactly, yeah.
And I mean, what's everybody's feeling? Do you want to do a special work session just for this?
So my take on this is, let's see how we get through this. Because we might be making a work session for more than just the board operating agreement.
2 people have never seen these documents, so I'm not sure we're gonna start working to write this thing. Is my point.
And that's what Mr. Carpenter said with your things, be able to mull it over. I think when we email back and forth about looking at it all of a sudden, and that's why I need to be able to see these things, think about it.
Yeah.
So if we're still on the right track, we email them to both of you. And then I kind of brought this up on the first or the second meeting about how we get people enough time to figure out what they're proposing. You know, we could have 5 different operating agreements all come to the table and then we have to share it. You can't vote it right there and then. So that's acceptable, right? That's what best course of action. Push to you guys, you push out all 5. No discussions made, right? Because we can't do that, but we get to mull it over and go, oh, like this. Maybe we take from each other's or something
I
else.
mean, in this case, though, I mean, if I would have got these 3 weeks ago, I'd have sent them out. I didn't get these till late. The other thing I mentioned about this, for probably my first 5, 6, 7 years as superintendent, we never even had one. It isn't like we have to have this, but I think it does provide some structure and some guidance. So I do think it's good to have.
That's why it was difficult for me when we had the first example from OSBA, the second example was also OSBA example, and then we go, okay, I guess we just pick one, we'll figure it out. And that's why that big discussion happened as to, do we like it? And you were like, I didn't, you didn't have much time. I think you voted no. We talked about it, and then the agreement was it's just a working document, it's placeholder, you know, it's pretty acceptable. But we might want to fine tune it, so that's why I brought that up, so.
Yeah.
Kind of like discussion of our email with giving each of us time to look at the best ones, or, you know, come up with a mix and then move forward through working sessions, things like that.
I was gonna say, where's this even stem from, I guess, all this, like, was there an issue with the original agreement? Or is there an issue with even having an agreement?
Well, so the agreement is agreed to every summer by the school board. And like I mentioned, I don't think every school district has one of these. Since we started using it, I do think it helps provide structure. If a board said, you know what, we're not even gonna have one, just act like adults. Okay, we can do that, but I also think, like I mentioned, it does provide some structure. And probably 20 years ago, this wasn't really a common thing in Oregon, and in the last 10 years, it's become more common. That's because it helps the relationship and everybody knowing kind of where they go, so.
And as board members come and go, ideas and values fluctuate, so it's kind of like why they say working document.
Gotcha, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what my plan was to make a motion to do one of those two things, but instead of just making the motion, I want to ask everybody whether they felt like they just want to wait a month to do something with this, or do you guys want to make a special session that happens before that?
I think it could be pretty in-depth. It depends, it could take a while, but we at least need the time to look at anybody's proposals. But again, regarding being like kind of coming late, I didn't know, you know, looking at these two. Then you go to the conference, like, okay, now I've got a better idea of what we're looking at, how we want to proceed, so. I didn't know, I'm like, oh, now I know roughly what I'm looking at, here's my idea for it. It's not really drastically different, it's really just the. Examples
Yeah,
take together.
Well, we have a work session scheduled for next month, right?
that's what I'm saying, we
Just
can,
add it to the
we can
agenda.
add it to that agenda right now, but if we don't want to wait a whole month, because. Both Mark and Lisa are the ones that obviously, you know, came up with these, and I'm just curious, I mean, do you guys want to wait a month? Or do you guys want to set a special session for it?
What's the session?
I think
Before the
giving
next meeting?
us time to.
Yeah, before the
look
next,
over
yeah, for
would be
sure.
beneficial.
Yeah,
Should
sure.
we see how far we get through the other ones, like?
See if we can come back to this today.
Typing, click on the voice,
Yeah.
and then you start dipping into it, or you just push it back to the next month, it depends.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we all have to read through these, but we can wait till the end of the meeting to make this decision if you want. Right?
I don't see why not.
Yeah. Let's circle back around.
That's exactly what we're.
No, let's circle back around, and then I'll make a motion. I mean. Okay, board operating agreement, so board stipends,
The board meeting schedule.
for me schedule.
I'll let you talk about it, Bree, what we.
Okay, so basically, we got rid of the second April meeting. And combined it with April 20th, so there's a regular meeting. A full regular meeting with an executive session at the end for the superintendent evaluation. And then with each regular meeting, there's a work session before. Except for the meetings with executive sessions, just to spare the day and time.
Thank you.
And I mean, I think that's the gist of it,
Yeah.
really.
So every month you'll have two meetings, it'll either be a work session regular or a regular executive. And the executives are in November, February, and April. This will get posted on the on the district about school board.
Yeah.
This calendar, they'll be there at the bottom, click on it anytime.
I won't post the pre-meeting schedule, but I can just email that to all of you.
Right, so pre-meeting, if we're having a work session, the pre-meeting will be at 5. If we have regular and executive session, the pre-meeting will be at 6, 1.5 hour before our first meeting starts. Tonight, our pre-meeting was Brian and WC, and it'll just be WC, and the other 4 board members will rotate through those, so you'll have 2 of those a year, bro.
Do we need to take action on this?
I think we have it scheduled to.
In the regular meeting, we'll take.
Oh, that's right, we're not taking any action right now, that's right.
And just kind of as a informative, we can take action in a work session, but it's just kind of best practice to make this the discussion point. We've agreed the schedule looks good, in the regular meeting will be on the agenda, that's when we'll take action on what we talked about.
We might be adding to that if we make a special meeting. Correct, so. Alright, so
That's been one. Then they're all calendar.
Yeah, we can find a couple things that was,
Gotcha.
what's your holiday thing?
So what I'm hearing is that all looks fine?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. Now board stipends.
Now board stipends, that, you know, this continues to evolve, get more information, this is where I'm at currently. What I think, first, I'm gonna pass you, the OSBA recommended policy, nothing you need to read right now. And some of you may have seen this, but it just came out last week. So this is the way I think this should go. Our discussion here should be about, is this something we want to make a possibility? And if it is, then is this on a regular agenda?
yes, and then.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Then I don't even know that we need to take action there because we're not gonna adopt this policy. But in the regular meeting, we'll say, hey, you know, what we discussed in the work session is that we do want to pursue this. And then in September, I'd probably have the first reading of it. And in October, we'd have the second reading and adopt it. In the meantime, I'd be talking to Kwana about how we're going to finance it. We'll probably need to submit a supplemental budget to the board. We need to come up with, if every board member engaged in it, it'd be a little over $30,000 over the course of the year. I think it's $520 something a month. And I would think probably by November, this could be in place. So the decision that the board needs to think about is, yep, we want to pursue adopting this. Then I'll start a little more in line with exact language that we need to have at board meetings to make sure we're doing everything correctly. I'll figure out the budget piece and we'll adopt the policy. Once the policy is adopted, then each individual board member can decide, I would like to receive a stipend. We can just let business office know, we'll get that set up, or I would not. The flip side of that would be the board would say, we don't want to engage in this. And that's where I'll want you to kind of take some action in the regular board meeting to give me direction of, you know, hey, I'd make a motion to have Gary pursue board member stipends and adopting this policy, see who's in favor. If that is 3-2 in favor, then that's the path I'm going down. If it's 3-2 and against, then we're keeping our current policy and it's not an option for board members to get stipends. So those are kind of the two choices. So this would be the time to talk about what folks are thinking.
Discussion.
Okay.
You wanna start, Lisa?
Not really, to be honest with you, but.
You don't have to.
I can if you want me to.
Pardon me?
I can if you want me to.
Go ahead, please.
Just little things like. Cause I don't wanna start. But little things that could potentially come up of like the retreat. Childcare or like gas to conferences, is it something that could be like a billable refundable expense? Or is it just a straight this much money? I don't know.
It could be, this is the way I understand it, so I'll give that caveat. We couldn't do difference month to month, but Kathleen could say, yeah, I'm gonna participate in this at $100 a month. So it's anything in between that range of 0 and 527. You just set up what your stipend is, what you're comfortable with. Yeah, this will help me with my paper costs at home or printer, changing my cartridge every once in a while for all the stuff Mr. Carpenter says to print, or childcare, like you mentioned. So if it's an ability, then so the board goes down, yes, we want to make this a possibility. We vote on it, each individual board member. Will communicate with me and Kwana. I want to engage for the full 500 and whatever. I want to engage at $20 a month or $400 a month.
So range on itemization.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
thank you.
each person, I took a couple classes at the conference on it. Cause I knew it was coming up. I mean, each individual person obviously can choose their differences, but it's the state. The way it was explained to me is the state came down and said that they wanted school boards to do this to open it up to people who couldn't afford to take the time off. Single mom or people who take the time off. I mean, you know, we have board members that are gonna have to take time off work to come to the meeting. And
Right.
some people can't afford to take that time off, so they wanted to make it available to board members that wanted it, is how I understood it. Spencer said, and he's the OSB attorney, I think, if I'm saying it right.
Head of policy.
Head of policy. He said there's already a policy, and I don't know if it's in our policy, but in their policy, if we have theirs, to get reimbursed with some of that stuff. But you have to turn in receipt each time and do all that. This is a way around that and they say, okay, it cost me $200 a month to be part of the board because I have to drive 80 miles or whatever.
And I'll correct what I told you, Kathleen, even without this policy, if you ever incur costs, like whether it's meals at a conference, or if you just sent me an email, hey, Gary, can I get pre-approval? I need some paper and an ink cartridge for my printer at home that that I use for school board, then I just approve that, not to exceed $50. You turn in your receipt, we could pay that, even independent of this type of thing. Could always do that.
That's what I was trying to say, actually. There's already, I think, a reimbursement policy that would be on top of this, but.
Gary, what do other school districts do? I mean, is this a discussion that they're having? Is this?
Yep, nobody in Lane, there was a couple in Lane County that were looking at going forward with this and making a decision. You recall before Jay decided, Sid, when they first talked about this?
They did not do it.
Yeah, so that was made, I think, the only one that acted early, and they said, we're not gonna engage in it. But then kind of things have changed. Nobody, I have a Lane County Superintendent's meeting tomorrow. I bet this topic will come up. I'll probably pose, hey, how many school boards where do you guys think you're headed? Oh, right now, I don't have a good sense.
Another piece of this is, because it could be potentially like a lot of money that then doesn't get to go to the schools, the kids, things like that.
Allocate, yeah.
That got brought up and Spencer said, no, if you to allot that amount of money, if it's not used, it can be transferred to other things. It's not like a separate thing like, oh, well, this is gonna steal from facilities. For instance, it is cordoned off. If nobody takes it, it can then be used for whatever, you know, the staff want to.
Where do those funds come from?
Well, so if I
He says.
You know, whatever staff wants to do.
yeah,
Like, so if, just because it's allotted for our particular, you know, if people have needs, things like that. It can be transferred to whatever you need.
It could be.
Staff and
at the end of so I guess a simple example would be, we create a $1 budget for the Fernwood School District in the spring, and 1 penny is set aside for school board stipends, right? Well, that I only now have 99 cents available, so it is reducing somewhere else.
Yeah.
However, at the end of the year, we didn't spend that penny. It's rolling over now back in the general fund and in the.
Yes, that way, right, yeah, because I was worried about that too in the last month. I was like, that's essentially a lot of it. But yeah, use it or lose it kind of thing, and they dispelled that, so no, it can be used for whatever you need. If it's not, you know, used, if it's set aside, then. the
Well,
next-
set aside for that, we can't use it for anything else in that whole budget year.
Yeah, but it's something that if it's.
What we do is budget the max amount it could be. I budget $527 for however many months are in the school year for every school board member. If we only spent half of that, then that remaining money would get rolled over into the next beginning year balance. And carry us through, but it definitely, again, I'll use the example of $1. If we're setting a budget for $1, this is a new line item in the budget. So, you know, it is reducing available funds for other district programs on the front end. At the same time, we don't spend it all, it rolls back into our general fund.
Okay.
Do you have an idea where it would come from?
We do a supplemental budget and just draw some money from a reserve to fund it for this year.
In that reserve year over year, going up, going down?
We're in a good spot. It's been going down. Last year, I think we deficit spend, we were close to even. I can't tell you exactly how close because we haven't been audited, but we brought in $20 million, we spent close to $20 million. We have a healthy reserve. This isn't, you know, long term, maybe it's gonna have some financial impact. I'd be lying to you if I said, you know, well, we're gonna have to lay off a teacher because of this. That's not the case. But it is money we're allocating to something new.
I can't speak for everybody, but I don't think we went into this looking for
I
reimbursement.
didn't sign up for it.
Anybody, I know I sure didn't, so
Well, I think what they were saying in the conference is you would vote to make it a possibility for the future, but again, that could come up year to year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole school board could re-vote again on it. So we're making the decision, obviously, for us for the next 4 years. You know, when somebody else gets elected, they can bring this up as an agenda item and re-vote on it again and put it in.
Well, you can whatever you did in 6 months, somebody could bring it up and say, I want to change this.
So redo it again.
if I knew that there was a benefit that we could table that money or something, you know, and it could grow with interest and, but if you're pulling it out of the general fund or whatever, you know, makes no sense to me. If it was additional funding from the state or something Yeah, we say we're gonna take it, we choose not to receive the money and it can go to another program or something, absolutely, but
Right.
if it's our own money, it makes no sense to me.
I feel, so it's very interesting because out in the world, when this first came up, it was a no. Even though I love the language that they use, that the board needs to approve it majority. And then it's on each and every board member whether they actually want to take any and how much. So I do like the way that it has been proposed. Still. Yeah, I do think that's very fair, is to approve it, and then whoever wants to take it can. Instead of saying,
And I agree with that too, I mean,
Yeah.
I never want this to be a financial burden for someone to be able to make it. Whether it's childcare, gas money, regardless, I mean, should be fair and equal for everybody, 100%.
Well, and each individual, so I feel it's kind of, like, when I first saw it, I was like, same with you, like, I'm like, oh, no. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to take away from
Right.
a math teacher or something like that for this. I didn't get into this for that. And talking and going to the OSBA conference and talking to them about it and kind of the intent and stuff of it. I've kind of shifted a little bit into, okay, as a board, I almost, I'm getting the feeling like, yes, we should make it a thing. And then each individual board member could make that decision for themselves, what they want to do. And then when the next board member comes along, they can make that decision for themselves.
Is the decision that the board member makes, is that for their entire term? So
They can change, I think they can change it whenever they,
But anyway,
Spencer said they could change it whenever they want, but your Kiwanis would be really mad at you if you changed it month to month. Right?
Right.
I mean, the law and the rule says you could change it as you go. There's nothing saying you can't. But in politeness, you wouldn't do it month to month because then they would have to, from an administrative standpoint, change your paycheck each month as you would.
Yeah, we just get a recurring, accounts payable out, we'd be getting I'm sure you'd have to submit some paperwork to the business office, but you just get, it's a stipend, so there's no taxes withheld or anything, it doesn't run through our payroll system. It's $100, Kathleen's getting $100 a month, that's what she.
I'd be curious to see how many other districts adopted, how many other people are taking advantage of it. I'd just like to know that.
So the one that I talked to at the board meeting, I mean, and Fort Day wasn't there, so it was like Bethel and Springfield and. When we met with the Lane County folks, you guys were there, so correct me if I'm wrong, cause I'm old. Yes, most of them were discussing it. Of course, they're all a little afraid of the public pushback on it.
Sure, yeah.
It is a lot of the other school boards, concerns on top of spending money and taking away. I mean, we may be in a position where it doesn't take from a math teacher, but I don't remember which school district has 7 or 9 members. And it was
there's a few of them, yeah.
And it was a small school, like, I wanna say it was a school the size of Young College or something, I guess, and they have 9 members. So of course, at $500 a member, it's an even a bigger number. So, and who knows what their reserves are like. So it's definitely, I think it's a complicated issue in that. I mean, there's reasons the state's has pushed it through. To say they want school boards to do this, cause that's how I'm understanding this, right? This is the state saying, we want school boards to do this.
Well, this was the way I understand it, somebody proposed a bill, legislative session, it wasn't, I don't think it was the state.
Lobbyists.
Yeah.
And was it, I was confused about this, I was wondering if it was OSBA that was involved, it was not that.
No, I'm sure they were consulted, but I don't know where the bill originated, but the Oregon legislature passed it into authority.
Somebody pushed it through, okay.
Once it was passed,
I was curious.
then OSBA jumped in and go, okay, we got some issues and it's taken them a year or two to figure it out. Now they've got this path to do it.
So 2 questions, I'm sorry,
Nope.
2 questions. If we voted yes, yet no school board member took it up, offer, would you still have to allocate potentially for that budget, or could you leave everything where it is?
That's a good question. I'll probably talk to Quanah. If we've given this authority, I'd probably want to go through I mean, if individually board members told me on the side, listen, for this year, I'm not doing it, then I probably wouldn't do anything.
Okay.
But if it was, what I wouldn't wanna do is not take action. I think that policy that they talk about, that I shared with you, it specifically says in there, before you do this, you gotta come up with your financial plan to fund it. So could there be a path where, I knew the cost was gonna be very minimal, we wouldn't have to do a supplemental budget? There could be, but I would be hesitant to do that. I wouldn't wanna give us the authority, but now really come and say, hey, I want the stipend, well, we haven't done it yet, so I probably won't want that set up.
And then second, would it be a public thing or a private thing? Like, could it be like,
I think
so-and-so
Yeah,
took
it's a good
$500 a month, they're really not.
yeah, I think it'd be public record, so somebody could request it. I don't think what would be public is the adopting of the policy to make it possible for you to engage in it. Is just an email to Quanah and I about, hey, I'd like to do it, I'd like to do it at $500 or $50 a month. That's private, but again, that communication, that record internally would be a public record.
Thank you.
The only other thing that I saw that somebody brought up at OSBA as a positive to it was that people who have to take days off work to come to these meetings.
Yeah.
You gotta take a day off to come to work. Well, if you're volunteering and you're not getting paid, you're less likely to take that day off work. Sure. Right? You go to work. But if you're being reimbursed for it, it is a way to hold people accountable and say, hey, look, no, you're getting paid. Put in for the day off work. Come to the meeting.
Show up, yeah.
Show up, be involved. And so there was an accountability angle to it. Now, that's, that's all it is an angle. Cause at the end of the day, somebody could take the $500 and still not take the day off work. But
Right.
It's a crazy item, but it was also well thought out. So it really is
well, it's taking 2 years to get.
Yeah.
Through this part of muddy water. I mean,
We're there now.
yeah.
Okay, well, so in the regular meeting, when this talk, I mean, obviously you can talk about it some more, but in the regular meeting, we'll just be looking for somebody to make a motion to move forward, charge Mr. Carpenter with moving forward on figuring out this path and getting the policy adopted, or no, we're gonna keep our current ones. And that will need to be seconded and voted on.
Electronic devices, the cell phone.
Cell phone, alright, got some stuff here to share for those of you that, just in case you hadn't seen it. Here's the specific language of the order that we have to follow. As I shared in the retreat, I said I wanted to get together with building principals and come up with how we would implement essentially our handbook language. So I did that, and here's the copy of that 2-page document. Essentially sorry. Essentially, if the board shows, this is what I would stick into our handbook. And in the version that's online on the district website, it would get updated to this. To summarize, it gives kind of an overview of the policy, why it's there, the expectations, our practice. I'll get down to kind of the nuts and bolts, which is the bottom of the page 1 that says consequences. This is what our administrators, we looked at some samples that I got from other districts. And I kind of came with a draft and we beat it up and came up with this. Well, so first offense is that the kid has their phone out in class, it goes off in their pocket or whatever. Teacher takes it, gives it to the office, the kid gets it back at the end of the day, and we tell them, remember the cell phone policy. The second offense is the exact same thing, except we won't give it back until the parent comes. So my experience with that is sometimes parents will come and say, you knucklehead, you ain't getting it back for a week. Or they'll just leave it there in the office and tell them, I'm not going until next Tuesday to get it. What we won't want to have happen is a parent come back, and it's noted that the parent needs to come back after school. What we won't want to have happen is kid gets taken first period, goes to the office, parent comes down second period, gets it, gives it back to the kid. That's not a thing. So after school, or if the parent just says, hey, I'm picking it up right now at lunch because it's my break, but don't worry, my kid's not getting it till the end of the day, that'd be fine too. So second offense, the only difference is a parent needs to come pick it up. Third offense would result in same thing, goes to the office, parent picks it up, but the student's gonna get assigned some type of attention during a non-academic time. So either before school, depending on what time they get there, lunchtime, or even potentially after school. The fourth offense, we have a family meeting, so, consequences or plan for success will be discussed. There's really no identified, you're gonna get 3 lunch detentions or whatever. We're gonna have this meeting, try to come up with a plan of how we can get everybody on the same page. And then any subsequent offenses, can result in any of those things. We're gonna have another family meeting, more detentions. At the high school, we could take away privileges such as ability to park on campus, which hinders their driving. Their open campus at lunchtime for juniors and seniors. Loss of ability to attend extracurricular events like games or dances, loss of athletic eligibility, etc. Then the only other thing I want to mention is there's really a different path if I fail you to turn it over. So in the executive order, it talks about you can't consequence any way that affects them academically. I can't suspend them from school. However, if Lisa has her phone out, I say, Lisa, can't have your phone out, give me that, you can get back to the office at the end of the day, it's your first time. And Lisa says, screw you, you're not getting my phone. Then we go down a different path of, okay, there is gonna be consequences that could be impeding their academic work, such as suspension, etc., if it becomes in a conflict. I mentioned to Brian and Mark, or Brian that we see in our pre-meeting, I did talk to one superintendent who has had essentially this policy for the last several years. Everybody that I've talked to says, this is scary, but it's not that big of a deal that their kids adapted quickly. His example was they had 287 incidents over the course of the year of a kid losing their cell phone. And 2 of them ended up in some discipline. And it was around not turning over their phone or refusing or storming out of class or whatever. Anyway, so what I'm looking for from the board today, it was, well, I know this could be a stretch. It was definitely unanimous among our administrators. If you have any questions of them, at least one's here, that they would prefer to start this at the beginning of the school year versus January. So what I'm looking for is this on the regular meeting agenda?
I think it's on the regular agenda meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, so what I'm looking for in the regular meeting, is either take action to adopt Mrs. Handbook language. And then in the coming months, I'll work on probably in the September month of the first reading of the new policies they gave us that are kind of adhere to this. They also gave me a sample, a form that parents could fill out for an exemption. Right now, the exemptions, what we identify in here is they're really just for students on IEPs, 504s, and medical protocols. However, there could be some other rare exemptions, and in those cases, it'd be reviewed not by a building principal, so it's all at one building, and it might look different at the middle school or the high school. But we'll get a committee of folks that'll be our cell phone kind of review group. So if parent X says, hey, my kid needs a cell phone for the next 3 weeks. Grandpa's on hospice, I really want to be able to get in touch with him during the middle of the day. We could maybe come up with a plan around that, but they'd submit something, that group would look at it and give the parent a response. So again, what I'll be looking for, are you okay with us starting the school year with this? Or do you want more time to review it? Do you want to do this slowly and we just have to have it in place by January 1?
I think Spencer said something about, everything seems to be Spencer did, so the updates, the legal updates and whatnot, so there was some conflict with their policy with law, but I think they might be thrashed out, but that's something we need to figure out. But even if as long as it's not overly wrong all around and it doesn't look like it, we can always change it, right? To be sure they got a better update once we do that. And then just another interesting thing, board member, I can't remember where she's from. They proactively did it 2 years ago, and they said it wasn't nowhere near as bad. Like nobody freaked out, everybody just adapted to it. It's just like the old days, and nobody had phones, except obviously medical exemptions and special circumstances. They said it was absolutely fine, but way before this came up 2 years ago. Then.
My only question is in the other exemptions, like, will we have verbiage for that of what qualifies as an other exemption? Cause I feel like that could kind of be a.
Yeah, the main verbiage, and the verbiage is included in the executive order, so I intentionally, after talking to administrators, included that second sentence. These exemptions should be tied to further a specific educational outcome for the student. So in that example I gave you about grandpa and deathbed, kid might not be focused in class, they're thinking about knowing that my mom's gonna immediately communicate with me about the situation. I ease them to be a little more successful and engaged in class. That will be the main criteria. On the form that they gave us, I haven't really looked at it, but it has the parent obviously explain what the reasons are. If, I don't think we need to be too much of a stickler on this. But we'll want to be able to tie it to, okay, this is a unique situation. It's gonna help the kid academically. We'll consider approval.
You kind of mentioned it in the, in our pre-meeting when we discussed this, but one of the things for me with this policy was, I mean, I think this is great, right? I don't think the kids should have phones at all. But one of the things that kind of came out to me was, I was like, well, what about the teachers?
Yeah. And
Right?
I
I mean,
I think it will help with the teachers starting at the beginning of the year. The two main things, and I've talked about with administrators, and they understand as well. It's on their mind, is one, we need consistent enforcement. So we really need to train teachers to make sure Miss McCann isn't the nice teacher that says, hey, just put your cell phone away. I saw it, I'm not taking it. We can't have that. We got cell phone out 100% of the time. We gotta have a teacher acting on it. The second thing is, this doesn't apply to teachers or principals or superintendents, but I can assure you, when I'm in a building walking around, I'm not gonna have my cell phone in my hand and, take out of my pocket and put away. And we want teachers to do the same thing, not rub it in kids' faces that I can be on my cell phone during the middle of class. We'll want them to really be cognizant of setting a good example and, helping facilitate kids follow the rules.
But also they are adults and teachers, and they can do that stuff.
yeah,
Anytime, and there may be, yeah, and it should be without question, and there may be times they're gonna use it as a teaching aid or a YouTube video or whatever, like, you know what I mean, and that stuff should totally be.
Yeah, in general, even kids, the teaching aid, we're eliminating because a lot of teachers, the example Sid gave me, was around math tests or math quizzes. Math assignments. We've also done things in class where they'll do a poll and they could log into a link, and send stuff up to the screen. They won't be able to use those as teaching tools, their cell phones in any way. So we won't, hey, it's physics class. Everybody bring their cell phone out because we're gonna do this calculation on your calculator. No, we'll use your issued Chromebook or some other tool for cell phones. But
I guess that's what I was gonna ask you, I mean, it shows how old I am, but I mean, is there, do kids have to go buy a graphing calculator or stuff, or they just using their phones now? Like, what are they doing?
for the most part, they use a graphing calculator, but certainly they use their phones for things that I don't even comprehend. But what Brian said is legitimate. I mean, there's gonna be times where they are the adults, they can use their phone, but the message is gonna be, be conservative with this use and understand that it's not setting a good example when you're talking on your phone to your wife in the middle of class. Which I shouldn't be doing anyways. We have other policy around staff not being on their phones, during class time, and we'll just want to make sure.
And there was some piece in here that it's bell to bell, right, for the kids, it's not, they can't check it at lunch, they can't do anything like that.
Bell to bell, so before school, they can check it, they can have it, as soon as the first bell for first period arrives, they are off and away, as they refer to it. Can't have it at lunch. What'll happen undoubtedly, kids will keep it in their backpack and off, and they'll go to the bathroom and text other kids, and we're just gonna have to navigate that, so.
yeah. Well, then juniors and seniors that can go off campus.
Off campus, yeah, they'll certainly be using their phone.
We got this, yeah, that's just what it is.
It is, and it's identified in the order, and I think I know it's identified in here as well. If I'm on a field trip during the academic day, let's say we're going to the Raptor Center and then coming back, no cell phones. If I'm getting dismissed at noon to go to Sisters to play basketball, as soon as you're dismissed, school day's over, you can be on your phone with Sisters.
I didn't think about that, travel time for athletics.
So if you're done with your academic day, then cell phone policy is off.
But if they're going to Sisters during academic day, there's no phones.
If they're going for an athletic event,
Right.
they can use their phone. Cause their school day is over. If they were going to somewhere on a field trip, an academic field trip, and returning to school and catching the bus at the end of the day, then there is no cell phones. And they can have cell phones on the bus in the morning, coming to school. Anything either of you think I'm forgetting on this topic?
No, and going home, I think the big thing, the difference between the athletics and a field trip is that it's also about how it can be supervised and monitored. If you're taking your class on a field trip, the teacher should be monitoring. If the players are going to a game, there might not always be a coach. So the bus drivers can't be expected to enforce that. That's one of the reasons.
And WC to what you said about teachers, this is another one of those slippery slope things, but, one of the readings said that what they said is that teachers can lead by example.
Yeah.
And that's what they put towards it.
And I only brought it up so the discussion could be had, you know, we had that discussion in the pre-meeting. I don't see that as a huge problem, I'm not trying to add to this, but I think it definitely needs to do that, because this doesn't even pertain to the teachers, but I think it needs to be.
Yeah, we'll have definitely a separate, whether we start in September, which is again what the building principals would like to do. It's also fine if we need to push this off till January, but if we're starting in September, we'll definitely be spending some time during in-service week, creating a cheat sheet document that I'll give to principals to review with all their staff. Here's kind of the expectations. We're gonna be around enforcement and around their own.
Do all of the teachers and principals agree with this in the district?
Not all the teachers, I haven't spoken to them, but all the administrators. This is they created, I came with a template, we beat it up together, this is what we came with.
I mean, from what I'm reading, I mean, since you can't tie the punishment to academic in any way, you really don't have a whole lot of avenues for what you can and you can't do. I mean, we have to do this because it's an executive order, right? And you don't have so many avenues of punishment, let's call it, or.
The executive order piece, I will mention, because it can kind of get confusing with state and federal executive orders and what do we follow and we not. In her case, in Oregon, the governor is probably gonna use the wrong term, but she's the director of education. She's in charge of K-12
I think
education.
letters of the head superintendent.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
something fancy. So she has the authority to make requirements of K-12 schools.
So in the second offense on the first page, the device cannot be returned to the student until the end of the day. If the parent does give it back to them and they have it again in the same day, would that just go on to third consequence?
Well, hopefully we would problem solve that. If a parent came in and was telling us they're gonna give it back to them, to the kid, then it's really a parent problem. I wouldn't want the office staff or the secretary to get in a fight with the parent. I'd just do it, let her do her thing, and then I'd be getting a meeting with the parent. This can't do that.
Yeah, that's pretty
I
cool.
don't think parents are gonna advertise that, but I've seen it.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So-
Okay.
What about like athletic event stuff and communicating with your kid to make sure that they're in the right place at the right time, you're riding the bus to the game?
Yeah, I think our-
Or
Sure. It'll just be, probably the office staff is gonna need to really bolster their ability to communicate with the kid quickly. But at any time, a parent can call the school, and my expectation would be for building principals, within 5 minutes, that kid's got that message. So when you call the school and say, hey, tell my knucklehead to be in the front office at 1:45, I'm coming to pick him up, we need to get him that message. So any communication from a parent in the middle of the day, we can get to that, we should be able to get to that kid quickly.
I look at it as our elementary kids don't have phones, right? They get all the messages they need.
Seems like they do now.
Well, mine don't, so,
Mine don't.
but they get all the messages they need. Secretary's got it.
This really is a middle school, high school thing. There is kids, elementary kids that come with cell phones, but they're few and they keep them away and off.
Which ones you say, elementary?
Elementary, very few have them. Those that do, it isn't a problem with them having.
Yeah, this was kind of weird, kind of hits close to home, right? Because I've got a kid going to middle school, starting the same
Sure.
deal. It's like, seems like all of his buddies have one, I'm sure he does it. It's
Oh,
like-
you go over to middle school at lunchtime, there's, 94 kids with their heads down
Right.
playing games.
Right. The only thing I worried about was communication with them, but if you guys are saying that there's gonna be prompt communication with the kid, I have no reason to.
At the high school, we have office aides, we have campus monitors. You see any problem with getting a message to a kid within 5 minutes?
My problem is I'm just enough of a libertarian, and I want each person to have their own individual
Sure.
rights, you know what I mean? But also it's a huge burden to the teachers with the kids with their faces very difficult, so I see both sides of it for sure.
And it just, especially at the middle school level, there's so much drama around a cell phone. Did you see what Susie's wearing today? Oh, yeah. What about Tommy? He has a hole in his pants. Just nonsense, gossipy, social media stuff that occurs on cell phones throughout the school day that would just get squashed.
How does this policy handle smartwatches?
It's in.
It's electronic devices, not just.
Right, I mean, that's what you're, so if you see a kid look at his watch,
Yeah,
we're gonna take his watch?
we've talked about that. We'll probably have a conversation with the kid. I can have a smartwatch, and if it's not connected to a plan and receiving data and information, then they can have it. If they're getting dings about text messages and that kind of thing, then that's why it's not called a cell phone policy, it's called a personal
Right.
electronic device policy.
But it says it needs to be put away off, right, off, silent, and put away.
Exactly, that means the watch will come on when they come in the building, yeah.
Apple Watches have a school time, parents can set.
Yeah,
So
but then they
like,
could,
my daughter has a watch, but she was on her phone, it's like my phone, so it's turned off 7 to 4 every day.
it'd be hard for them to police that though.
Yeah.
I mean, you almost
It's
have to,
definitely gonna be
you almost have
Going
to,
off in class.
well, but they say you can't have it out. That's what the policy says. So, I mean, I'm again, I don't know.
There's definitely gonna be some intricacies you have to work out in the smartwatch.
I mean, I think we already have rules in place for this and kids shouldn't be on their phone, but I mean, that's the problem I see is
Yeah,
that kids gonna
right.
show up wearing a smartwatch. You know, and so we're gonna make sure everybody takes their watch off before they get into school. Then,
In my mind, that would really be about, a teacher noticing something in class, hey, kids on a watch, whatever. I'd probably just encourage teachers to email the principal, assistant principal, have a conversation with the kid without them on your watch. Is it all it is? If it does, you need to have it off and away.
right,
If it doesn't, oh, well, I have it shut off during school hours. No, I wasn't doing that on my watch. We're off that.
yeah.
How could be like looking at it or not, like.
Well, yeah,
how
no,
would you just on-
it's just how do you put that in a policy, right? And how do you follow that and how do you be consistent? Again, I'm not advocating for stealing everybody's watches. I just see this as a problem, as a logistical issue for enforcement.
I think,
Get a new one.
I think the failure to turn over the device portion needs to be, like, first and foremost, spoken really clearly upfront with
Sure.
everyone about that.
Yeah.
I think, it's like, this is now an issue of insubordination, like, it's a whole different.
Well, that really shouldn't be a change for them, right? At high school, we've already had, you can't have your phone out in class. So if a kid last year in March was texting in the middle of class, teacher was supposed to take it. If the kid didn't give it up, which I'm sure happened at some point last year, that's the path we're going down. Sounds good? Okay, so again, in the regular meeting, sounds like you guys might be okay with starting this in the beginning of the school year?
Yeah.
I don't see a major issue with the garbage. I mean, we can talk about it in the regular meeting, but
Then what I'll do is, assuming that's what happens in the regular meeting, I'll get this updated, the handbook, it'll get posted online. And over the course of the next 2 months, we'll have a first reading and a second reading of the actual policy that is gonna change around.
so before we move on to the next one, we've obviously run out of time for the rest of the agenda. So to circle back around to this. Do you guys want a special session or do you guys want to just handle the work session in the next month's meeting?
To the work session. I can make a motion.
Yeah, we'll have time to look at each other's, examples and, but we probably still need some discussion to figure out what we're gonna do, adopting one or amalgamating something.
So I guess, my second, just kind of pigtail on there, we had the further topic of board goals. And so kind of the same thing, we had the 3 goals we adopted and we were gonna come up with the yellow today. But Mark submitted, some options to consider. So maybe at the next work session, we just keep it to 2 topics, working agreement and board goals, and I can give you each an example of what we have. What is suggested for changes, and you guys can review those before the next. Okay,
So there be any way to put the calendar on Google Calendars on this district? Google calendar,
board meetings?
all of it,
Sure.
yeah. Is that too much work for you? I'm sorry.
So I think what he's asking, our little schedule,
Yeah.
let's insert that in Google Calendar, those are easier.
Yep.
Somebody else.
So then I'll make a motion to postpone the board operating agreement and the board action plan from our goals to the
Work session.
work session in September.
A second.
Any discussion?
I do know, but I just want to make sure this is understood. So we're going to go ahead and move these to the next one, but there's also 2 other items.
I think I can get to those pretty quick.
We might be able to get through those in 2 or 3 minutes. That's what we're hoping.
Okay.
So these are the only 2 we're hoping to move. So any more discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Aye. Volunteer visitors?
Yeah, first up above is a report on Raptor. So Raptor was, remember, some of the larger districts use it, scanning ID. I said I had a meeting scheduled with them to figure out cost, have that meeting. In our district, 4 buildings to use it, it'd be just under $9,000 in year 1. And then around $4,000 plus supplies every year after. So let's say the board wants me to continue to pursue Raptor. I have a meeting scheduled with them this Thursday. Raptor, that would be the cost. Again, I've done some investigation on what we would do with money there. This wouldn't necessitate a supplemental budget. What I do is take money from our facilities reserve account, which we have a couple $1 million in. I would take $9K out of there to fund Raptor this year, probably a little less because it's gonna take a month or 2 to get going. And then in the spring, I plan to budget for this ballpark $4,000 annually if we wanted to do that. So as a reminder, Raptor would require everybody to scan an ID. The Raptor system only scans sexual predator databases, but it scans everyone in the country. And that would be our process at the building. So what I'm looking for from the board is, yeah, we want to make this we want to invest the dollars in this. We think it's a good idea. Don't have to decide today. Today was really about me just sharing with you the cost. And if you want me to continue to investigate, I will. And like I said, where I'd fund it from is our facility reserve account.
but there's no outside funding.
No outside funding.
Where did Raptor come from when you brought it up the first time and said this is a system that some of the schools are using? Where did that come from? Are there other alternatives for other?
Not that I know, but where it came from is I was at a local Lake County superintendent's meeting. I heard some superintendent talking about it. After the meeting, I asked him what it was. He explained it to me. I asked him what the pros and cons were. And what I really recall is that the main pro was it takes a lot of work from the district office and paperwork we have to process. And at the building level, the main con is it puts a burden on the secretary and principal. Because when Gary comes in, scans my ID, it comes up red. Now there's a conflict right there. So you can't go into lunch with your kid. He came up, is the principal available? There's got to be a meeting discussed. Is there a problem? Is there an error in the system? Or why would this, we have to do some investigation. He said that was the main pushback early on, was it created, somebody comes in, they don't have ID, they're not getting in. I left my ID at home. I know Lisa, she's coming, you don't have your ID, you're not getting in, Lisa. So it created conflict in the building when that had to be, and that was a requirement to get in, to just have lunch with their kid.
I wonder if there's something else we could use.
There's a different venue. If there's a different venue that does the same thing or does more.
Different system, yeah. So, because I'm just trying to decide on Raptor, it sounds. I don't know,
That's why we want to talk about Raptor first, because
Yeah.
that leads into, what you brought up
Yeah.
with showing ID to be a visitor. If we do Raptor, then
it
the
could be,
second part's, we'd have to show ID
it
anyway.
would be a very expensive deterrent, because they don't tell you. If it's the same system that I went in full uniform for to like a show and tell with all my gear and another cop dad. Yeah, we had to do that. They're like, here's your sticker with your picture on it. You don't have ID on me and stuff, and I still put it on me. So I knew that, oh shoot, they actually got an in-depth background check. They obviously did say it was for the registry and things like that. I don't mind deter some people, but it doesn't take much digging to find out, like, oh, if you're up to nefarious activities that is not part of that realm, you can still get in.
Right, it's not that we don't want to know if we have a registered sex offender, right? Like,
For sure, but it doesn't tell you if it's in any other, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I wish it told me more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish it did more.
And so you still have to do more to be a volunteer for the district.
Yeah.
But any parent right now, if they're on the emergency contact list, they can go in and have lunch with their kid, for example, as a visitor.
Is Raptor just sex crimes, or are there levels of it that we get paid more for?
It's their own thing. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's safe.
Yes.
I just don't really like either one of them, I guess, all that much, the ID deal or Raptor.
You don't like either one of them?
Not particularly, I guess, I don't know. I just, the downsides are, I can see it being a huge conflict in the front office, you know?
The visit, the policy discussions, I have some materials on that, but it's also on the regular meeting agenda. So I just think we should probably talk about that at the regular meeting.
Yeah, I think we gotta move on to the regular meeting at this point.
But I do have a question. You said that there was another company that you knew of?
No.
Okay.
That's the only other thing that was public.
Okay, and regardless of what we decide today, I'm gonna bring this up at the superintendent's meeting tomorrow. And I'm gonna try to go visit a school and see exactly what this hardware looks like. Talk with some secretaries, principals, and see what they like about it and see what they don't, regardless of whether we pursue it or not.
Is there an opportunity for any of us to point into that?
Yeah, if I get a visit set up, I'll let you.
I'd be interested to see how it's working with the, but I mean, you know, if we're worried about it affecting the office staff, I'd be interested to talk to the office staff and say, how has this affected you?
I wonder if it works good in a big, you know, in a big school or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they're using it, you got Springfield and, so I'd be curious to say, how's this going over? I mean, the initial cost seems like a lot, but the reoccurring cost doesn't, I mean. I don't, anyways, all right, so do I gotta do this all over again?
We're gonna adjourn this meeting.
Okay.
And then we're gonna start all over, yep.
Okay, so adjourn the work session. All I said. Yeah, sure. You gotta smack it down. Anybody need a? Take a quick restroom break and then we'll start things. Yeah.
Good job. I want to make sure you know, this made 2 ads to the regular agenda today. I have heard of you. So. In reports. And then the second change was,
It's not.
you recall what I had?
It's just the naming of the policy.
Oh, we only had KK listed, but I had listed both.
And there's no public.
So anyways, I had talked to the kids, but since that they were coming, some of my stuff, so quickly, they have something to share. You have the most current copy of this?
Oh, yeah, you think you just gave it to me, right?
He's got it. Yeah. We're good.
No, they're gonna start on the west end, closest to the triangle through this way.
I think being in it, whatever, be anything. They're gonna say, they put in, like Rob news, his copy of something, but it's, they put a, around it. And, platform next.
Oh. In the regular meeting.
Can't remember the reason why that is, but.
Just wait a minute, please, stay file.
Anyway.
Where is it? I got it. It was funny.
Oh, you're gonna hear it. This guy here, he knows everything, so. So it's that. And that's taller. No, we're the. Yeah, that thing, that's the thing.
Quarterly.
Yes. What's supposed to be?
The vice superintendent's report, I'm gonna touch on it.
Oh, does that prepare something on board? I'm not figuring out the after station.
Just say.
That's just not what I'm. Like do that.
Absolutely no. They got everything out of me, in my time, even though you all did it. It was now, he was more now.
Hopefully all that is pushed to the next meeting. Pretty smooth. Is my hope.
Okay. So good. Ready for school?
Yeah, no.
Issues.
Yeah.
All right, we got everybody there?
Wave to you, I didn't say hi to Jake. Hi. You know how my heart feels about you. How's your city? So much. Like 5-10 mile lakes. Oh, really? Looks so nice. Still like.
I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We have a shared vision in the Fern Ridge School District to provide excellence for every student so that each will reach their greatest potential. Thank you, members of the public who have joined us. As a reminder, school board meetings are a work session or meetings of the board held in public, providing an opportunity to observe the board's decision and actions. In an effort to conduct official board business, we ask that the audience be respectful and refrain from questions, comments, and unnecessary noise while the board conducts the meeting. There's an opportunity for citizens to have comment tonight, and the board looks forward to hearing from those who signed up. I will share some reminder when we get to that portion of the meeting. Also, please note that all board meetings are live streamed and posted on the school board area of the website. And I think we have, yeah. All right. Thanks. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's right, usually we have one. Yeah. The kid first, yeah. Public comments next up then, and I heard we don't have public comment. All right, public comment. On the monthly items, approval of the minutes from the last board meeting.
21st and 28th.
Yeah,
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the last school board meeting on July 21st.
I'll second it. Any discussion?
Was that the retreat?
The board meeting and the retreat, 21st.
Both meetings.
Yeah, there's two different minutes. Did you say for both of them?
I said July 21st, but I can change it both. Or you can do both.
Sure.
I make a motion to approve both minutes from the regular meeting and the retreat.
I second it. Discussion?
So I just wanted to find out, in the language there, it said, so this is through an executive order, right?
Language where?
Pardon me?
Language where?
In the retreat minutes,
Okay.
and it would be item number 14 on the
Thank you.
agenda. You're welcome. And it says in there that the new law for schools. But is this actually a law yet, or just an executive order?
I'm unsure what the correct term would be.
Because if I'm understanding right, it's not a law yet, it's just an executive order.
I think it'd probably be more accurate to say executive order.
Yeah.
We
I
can
think
change that.
that's what we're saying.
Okay. Well, so you can amend your motion to approve it with that change, Kathleen.
Or we could just leave it.
I make a motion to accept the two agendas with the amendment of changing from a new law to a new executive order.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think we covered it. You're welcome. Yeah, here's the headlight look.
So
All right. Then that's business office, general fund revenue and expenditures report.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I have two reports to present tonight. This is our unaudited 24-25 financial report. These numbers will probably change a little since the auditors usually make a few closing adjustments. On top of that, we may still have some revenue or invoices that need to be recorded in 24-25. So just keep that in mind. Also, our final audit will take place at the end of September, but we likely won't see any final numbers or a finished report until December, and that's if we're lucky. They've been running pretty late the last couple of years. But so now I'll get to the numbers. We brought in 107% of our budgeted revenue. The main reasons for that were the state school fund and our weights increased. So that's why we're over on our revenue. That's the majority of it anyhow. I'll give you a little bit more detail on that. So when we built the budget, we used an extended ADMW of 1630. And the latest estimate that came out for 24-25, we were at 1695 extended ADMW. So that's quite a bit when you're talking, $11,000 per an ADMW. We also received state managed county timber revenue. That changes from year to year, so we don't really ever plan on it when we're building the budget. So if we get it, it's great. But that also was part of the 7% over. And then if you want to scroll down to the expenses.
Oh, sorry.
Oh. Oh, is it? Okay, it's there. Okay, so as far as the expenditures go, we spent 93% of our operating budget. Most of the underspending was due to employees waiving insurance or not participating in a 403B. We also had a handful of employees out on paid leave Oregon, which meant their full salaries were not paid out. We also we had a lower than expected use on our unemployment budget. So all those kind of factored into our 7% underspending. So with those numbers, our estimated end fund balance is at 5,512,901, or 28.15%. And once the auditors do give this a thorough review, make their closing entries, I'll provide you guys with a final. Does the board have any questions on that?
Earlier, Brian asked a question about, where were we at kind of in deficit spending, and the fact that we brought in more money and spent significantly less, which is great, than we budgeted for. Remind me, our end fund balance a year ago was at what in relation to 5.5 and 28?
Yeah, or in the last couple of years or something, maybe.
Yeah, so we're looking at 5.5 for 24-25. 23-24, we were around 4.5. And then let me look at here. And then 22-23, we were around 5.7. I expect once these are all finalized, we will not have operated at a deficit for 24-25.
Which is really, really good.
Yes, that's a good. Yeah.
Our worst case scenario, I thought we could deficit spend $1 million this year. Last year, and my hope was to cut it down in half this year and deficit spend only about 500,000. To know that last year we didn't deficit spend, we brought in a few more dollars than we spent is great news for us.
Yeah.
When you said the 107 was due to the weighted cost, that's the extra money you get for the special classes, right? Like for the special.
That's correct. You get double weighting for students that are on IEPs. The state automatically pays you that up to 11% of your ADMR. But in addition to that, there is also a cap waiver that the state has, which provides additional weighting over the 11% cap. And that can change depending on how your district severity is compared to other districts. And ours increased quite a bit. So our weights jumped up quite a bit in that area.
Could you describe maybe a couple other things that weight kids like ELL or foster kid or?
Yeah, so there's a few weights. The students on IEP are definitely the largest. Students in poverty, that's another large weighting category. There's also students in foster care and neglected. Those are really the only weights we have. There's also weights for students in pregnant and parenting programs, but we don't have any of those. Students in EL programs, we typically run around 7 in that area. But that's about it as far as the weights go.
just to clarify, so I'm understanding correctly.
Yep.
I think the way it was explained to me, we get a certain dollar figure for each student. That goes for everybody, and then on top of that, anybody in the weighted class, we get extra money for.
Correct.
So even though we only had 1,300 kids last year, we got 1,690 was our weighted
That was a
number.
weighted number.
If every kid was in no special class, whatever, we would have got paid on 1,300 kids.
Yeah, and one thing to note too, just to make you guys more confused, hopefully not, but it is confusing. So the extended ADMW, the reason the state of Oregon calls it that is because you are paid either off of the current year you're in or the year prior. It's based off of the higher of the two. So our extended ADMW is actually based off of 23-24. We're not actually being paid off of 24-25 numbers. So that's very confusing. But if our 24-25 enrollment numbers had been a lot higher, then we would have been paid off of 24-25. But we were paid off of 23-24 and 24-25.
That's so you don't get a major jump or decrease in your funding. if something-
Exactly.
It kind of helps lower the curve.
Gives you a year to plan.
Yeah, it allows you to plan for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Corn.
Uh-huh.
Anybody else?
And then I do have the July report too. Oh, I don't know if they need to take action on this one or not. It's not our typical monthly report, but
No, I think we'll just take action on
the July.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so as of July 31st, there's not been a lot of activity, of course. We've received 12% of our budgeted revenue, which is the same percentage as last July. We have spent 4% of our budgeted expenses compared to 3% at this time last year. And that is about all I have for July so far. Unless you guys have any questions.
We get a motion to accept the budget.
I will make a motion to accept the budget.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Connor.
Thank you, Juana.
Yep.
Keep the reports coming. This is our 24-25 integrated programs annual report. So this is required by ODE. I'll submit our minutes with this template to them and it'll be posted on our website. So every year we have to do quarterly reports and annual reports. So hopefully a lot of this is stuff that you've seen over the years. We have to do a budget report. We have to do 3 narrative collections through the year and then progress markers. So that's kind of the overview of that. Go ahead. So the integrated programs is our SIA. It's high school success. It's everyday matters. It's early intervention. It's all of the things. It's our longitudinal performance growth targets, which is 3rd grade reading, 9th grade on track, 4-year graduation, 5-year completion, and regular attenders. Tomorrow I'm going to a 4-hour meeting because the state is adding K2 attendance, 8th grade math. And then they're also, this one, I don't really know what it's gonna look like, but the state is choosing 5 local optional metrics. But you have to choose one. So it's not really optional. We get to choose one of the 5 to add. So we'll be adding multiple more data points. I don't know if that's all for this year or if it'll happen kind of over time. Okay, so the annual report requirements, what we have to do is we have to review our progress annually. I do that all the time. Every day I'm looking through what we're doing, looking at our data, looking at our budgets, checking in with principals, the work that they're doing. And then what we have to do with our LPGTs is the first year we kind of track it just narratively. We look at it, we're like, oh, we're feeling good, this is our progress. Then the second year, we actually look at the targets that we've worked with this state team to set based on longitudinal data the past 5 years. And then they have all these fancy calculations and they tell us how much we should grow by. So we're kind of in that year. Go ahead. And then everybody in the state has to answer the same narrative question. So the first one is just like, reflect on your progress. And it's really hard because progress takes time and you want change to happen quickly, but when you're trying to change like an infrastructure or a system or a framework, it takes a lot of time, but we're making progress. One of the big things that we're focusing on is a K-12 MTSS, multi-tiered system of supports. So at the elementary level, if a kid is struggling, we have a lot of ways to help them. We have intervention, we have title, we have, all of these different things that we do. We've added intervention at the middle school last year, which is a huge feat. We're one of very few districts in Lane County that have made that work. We did a presentation on it at Lane ESD at the end of last year and have been supporting a couple other districts with it. And then our high school has a really good system for like 9th grade on track, graduation. So we're just trying to like make it this pretty plan and more cohesive and more transitional and systematic. So that we're making, that's something to brag that we're doing well. We've really built some strong community partnerships and we've really improved our communication through Parent Square and our new website. Definitely been two things that I think we've made progress. These are just some examples of the work that's happening. The letters training is a massive undertaking in elementary. It's like a college course. It's very intense and we have a lot of people really excited to do it. We have very targeted teams for literacy and academic improvement. We have data teams happening across all the buildings in different ways. We have a lot of really strong committees happening. We're doing a lot of work with ODE and the interim assessments. We're trying to really support teachers and students through that. And then this K-12 MTSS. There's some other great things too, but go ahead. The second question they really want districts to reflect on are the barriers and the challenges, like what is hard and why aren't we making more progress or what is keeping us back? And really for me, what I've noticed in what I wrote about this year is that it's just the cost. It's, the funding. The letters training is just to like get the training. Doesn't matter if you have one person or 12 people, $19,000 just to like set it up. And then you have to like pay people for their time. You have to buy materials and it's a lot. It's super expensive. So we were able to use some of our early literacy dollars. I also worked with Lane ESD and the REN. Last year we got over $50,000 in grants to help, but it's just like, you're always trying to find money. Like, how am I gonna pay? How am I gonna get a sub? How are we gonna get snacks? So that's definitely been something that's frustrating. And with the state, sometimes you think you're getting a certain amount of money and then you don't. So that messes with your budgets a little bit. The second paragraph talks about our focal group students, and you heard Kwana talk a little bit about that. Those weighted students, our students on IEPs, our students that are experiencing poverty, foster care, mental health. It's really hard to get them their basic needs and catch them up 2 years. You're like, hey, we're gonna do this. And so we're definitely not seeing the growth that we want there, but we're putting a lot of things in place. And then the last one, just talking about that basic needs in our community and how do we make sure that we're supporting kids early and often and not letting them fall between the cracks. Number 3 is new this year. So every other year you have to look at your actual metrics, your percentages, your growth over time, and kind of how are you doing compared to your targets. So I tried to like just highlight a couple. There's 5 different metrics, and then you look over 5 years, and then within those metrics, you have your baseline, which are all kids, all students in Fernridge. Then you have your focal group students, you have your girls, you have your boys, and so it just breaks it all down. So I just chose a couple different areas. 5-year cohort completion, we exceeded, which we're already high. I know I've talked to the board about that. We're in the top 10% of the state with that 5-year cohort completion. 9th grade on track, we exceeded, just by a little bit, but we still went up there. And then our 3rd grade ELA proficiency went over our target. Our target was only 40%, so that's still low and we want to get higher, but we're definitely doing a lot of work in early literacy. Areas that we didn't meet our targets, 4-year cohort graduation, and then just our achievement gaps with our focal group students. and regular attenders, which is frustrating because we've done so much work and everybody's trying really hard. Regular attendance is, it doesn't matter if you're excused or unexcused. It doesn't matter if you're hunting or if you're in Hawaii. It doesn't matter if you're skipping school or parents wrote you a doctor's note. You're either here or you're not, and that's how they track that. And then kind of our work moving forward this year, and just as we keep going, like I said, tomorrow I go to a 4-hour meeting to see how this is changing. Because every year they change little pieces. They either add something on, they change the requirements, so. One, that's moving forward. I'm just gonna go with a positive attitude. And then 2, just really our current strategies include expanding MTSS, our targeted literacy and math interventions. I know Elmira Elementary is really gonna do some math work this year, so that'll be fun to see what they're doing. Working with the OSAS assessments and really knowing what our learning targets are, family engagement. And then our plan shifts, expanding graduation supports. The high school's already brainstorming lots of fun things about doing grade reports every 2 weeks and seeing who's on track, who's not on track, and I think that would be awesome. Strengthen our community partnerships, how to make sure our families are getting their basic needs met. The professional learning for teachers, we really have been pushing that hard. And then this refining early warning system. So how do we get to kids before they're too far behind at all the levels? And that's a lot harder in middle school and high school because kids can quietly slide. So that's your 24-25 annual report. For integrated program. Good stuff, yes.
Marcy, come on back to page 8. Please. The regular attendance, I mean, what are we trying to do?
You're a regular attender if you miss 17 days or less.
No, yeah, I remember that from a lot of it, but what is the plan to try and get kids to come? Like, I mean, what's the talk?
Well, the things that we've tried are contests, which you're not supposed to have contests because you're not supposed to compete. You're not supposed to make a kid feel guilty because your grandpa died and you went to a funeral. Get to school. And so you have to be careful with those kinds of things. Some of the things that they were doing at the elementary were like surprise days. So like if you showed up, you might get popcorn, you might get a assembly.
Warning letters,
Yeah, nudge letters.
nudge letters.
Reaching out before a kid gets too far behind, right? So if you're noticing that a family, it's October and I've already missed 8 days of school, like really working with them. And there are some kids, it's just hard because maybe by November they've missed 18 days of school. So you know that no matter what you do, even if they came every single day.
And typically are those kids, are they excused or are these kids just not showing up to school?
It's a little bit of everything. And so I think that's the biggest thing is knowing your kids, knowing your families, because you can do everything you want. But if this kid gets to go to Hawaii for Christmas and that's the only time their family can go, and then they go hunting or fishing, but they're also on track, you're kind of like, lucky kid, you know? I think it's really knowing if the kids are not coming because, yes, there's a factory. Very targeted, was the whole no, I mean, some of us are the worst, you know, I watch my kids' attendance like there's no room, but then you're also kind of like, I'm sorry, this is when I can go. But it's really about, for those kids that aren't on track, and acknowledging how much better they could be doing if they were there every day. Because that's what the research says, right? If they're there, they're gonna do well.
Well, I think, a lot of the kids that are going to Hawaii with their parents or hunting or whatever, I mean, academically, where they're probably on track. I think the ones to be worried about are the ones that aren't showing up,
Right.
but aren't on track. Like,
Are the parents pretty forthcoming if they're like struggling at home or even not even?
You get this,
So
you get a spectrum of like, sometimes you'll call a family or meet with them and they'll be like, I cannot get my kid to school. They have anxiety, they hate school, they don't have any friends. And so you really try to make a plan, a success plan with that kid. Then you have other parents that are like, I'm too tired. I'm not gonna do that battle. You have other parents that, you know, they'll break down and they'll be like, I'll do whatever you think. And you set up sticker plans and reward charts and, I mean.
How about parents call me to ask me to come to the house?
Yeah,
Went to the house.
I've gone to pick up.
Went down the hallway,
kids.
knocked on the kid's door. Hey, buddy, let's go. You know, I mean, it does really range the spectrum of.
One thing I've noticed as a classroom teacher is even if you have that kid that doesn't do anything, they have like a 7% in your class. you'll hear little conversations of something that you said like 2 weeks ago. So even if they're not doing anything productive, they're still absorbing
Right.
if their cheeks are in the seat.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they're still getting it, they're sponges, right, when they're there, so just getting them through the door is huge.
You guys have something to say?
Yeah, Riley, what do you have to add over
I
there?
think we both had separate questions, but that number is across all four schools, yes?
Yeah,
What is the lowest attendance?
Worst the worst.
well, what I
Probably the high school.
building admin do last week is every admin meeting, I would have their percentages, like, hey, look at, and we would have those conversations. Riley, we're the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. We got cars, so you know what I mean. Yeah, I guess, and then my question on that, is that exempt school sanctioned events such as?
Correct, yeah, that's not included.
Yeah.
Didn't know you're on that list.
We're working on it. I'll give you all the things that we're gonna do. It's gonna be great. And I am excited, you know, it's gonna be more work for myself and the buildings. But adding K2 attendance is, you know, if you can get kids early and often and they build a healthy relationship with school and they're doing great by second grade, third grade's gonna be more fun, fourth grade's gonna be more fun. So I think that's good. I think eighth grade math, kind of having something at the middle school level that has to be reported on is. That'll be tricky, but it's gonna be great. It'll be a fun challenge.
Be positive.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Superintendent's report.
Touch base on three things. One, just a reminder, staff are about ready to return. All our new teachers I meet with this Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So all our brand new teachers, I think we have 8.
Yep.
8 certified teachers. They'll be here at the district office Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Actually, Friday, we're giving them time in their building to get them settled and get their room set, meet with tech people. And then just a reminder, Monday, all staff, we are going at the high school. Sunday, the 24th, if you do plan on coming, we're gonna have limited parking, the back parking lot, so the north parking lot. And the front parking lot, east section by the softball field, that's gonna get striped Sunday, so we're gonna be able to park on it Monday the 25th. So if anybody's wanting to come, either back lot's full, you can park in the front lot towards the softball field. We'll have the gate open to the entrance to the old football field. You can walk down to the cafeteria. All the district staff, we have a full day planned Monday the 25th, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, staff are in their building. So just a reminder, those 2 events are rapidly approaching and I'm not ready. So I need to get ready. Second thing I wanted to mention is just staffing across the district. We're fully staffed. We have a few classified jobs that are still open. I know we made some offers today on some 3.75 jobs. We have 1 high school job and 1 middle school IA job. They're still open. So other than that, we're full up, ready to go. And then the last thing, just I'll give a couple of minutes spiel here on the bond, and I might turn to Scott to give you a quick update, but going through each project. The Bonita new gym floor is down. They were assembling bleachers today. Check that out. I think we're on track there. It's definitely gonna be tight. If it's not quite ready the first day, we might be having to be outside for the first few days, but I think there still is a likelihood we're good to go. Bathrooms there, same thing. We've got a lot of cleanup to do. We're gonna be coming in hot, but I would expect it to be functional and ready to go the first day. We haven't closed on that house over there yet. I'm gonna make a note because I haven't heard from him in a week or so. I'll reach out to our realtor on that house to see when we're gonna close there. Once that happens, Scott will start doing his thing in preparation for next year around getting that information to the architects that we incorporating into that, our new parking lot plan. At the middle school, we're still on track to be erecting structures in October and maybe using them by November, but they've been delayed. The bus loop is on track to be done and completed. So we will start our new plan of middle school buses going down the north side, around the loop and parking on the side of the school, which will hopefully alleviate some congestion in the parking lot. It's been restriped. We got some signs coming. I'm gonna really press Ms. Johnson to get staff out there and remind folks of kind of the main push points, which the main one is cars pulling in, getting in line and blocking the entrance to that first row. We're not gonna let them block that. They need to pull through and go park. She's got a 1-page cheat sheet that we developed together to remind parents that they can park at the church. It's a great option. Let your kid walk right over there. They can park here at the district office, crossing guard to help alleviate. So I think we're on track there. All the HVAC, about all our projects, I would say the HVAC, A, the contractors have been great, and B, on schedule, on time. I think whether it's this space that's a lot more comfortable, in particular at the middle school and high school, gonna be big changes, and I think will be not only more reliable, allow us to diagnose problems quicker, because we now have control over all the systems, and a bunch of new units have been replaced. I think that's gone really well. As a reminder, we took our total bond money on the HVAC and basically split it in half. This summer, we spent about half of it to kind of get our controls updated and up to speed. We're gonna have a year of kind of tracking where problems are, diagnosing, and next summer will be about replacing some of our older equipment or things that weren't working well that we didn't have control over. High school project, every day I spend hours a day on this. Scott spends more, including late nights, early mornings and weekends. I thought we passed this big hurdle last week. We got a permit issued late Thursday. We got inspected Friday. Saturday I came out, walked over with WC. They were pouring the slab that the stadium will sit on. And that was a big hurdle for us to get to that point to keep us on track. This morning, we came up with another hurdle in that the press box isn't done being fabricated and is gonna be getting to us late. So are we gonna have a game on September 5th? I'm unsure. There is a chance we do, and we're ready to go fully. There's a chance we have a game there without a press box. And in that case, we are gonna work on some contingencies of running the clock and the PA system from a different location. There's also a chance where I've asked Emmy and Sid at the high school to look into getting another local high school field that we could use. So instead of traveling to the team up Salem to play Amity or Dayton, we could say it's a home game. We can't hold it here. We're renting Churchill's field. So our home game would be at least local. Our families would be a lot closer than going to Amity. So all those things are on the table. Scott, what do they leave out?
High school science?
High school science. Oh yeah, I walked through those rooms today with Miss Marshall and Sid. They're coming along, floors are polished, cabinets were going up. Both the fume hoods were in, which I thought was great and a big accomplishment. Definitely a lot of cleanup to go. It shocks me to think teachers are gonna be in there in 6 days. But we've got a path and I think we're good to go. The other thing I'd mention is the parking lot. Where by the end of this week, it will be completely paved. Like I said, we're gonna stripe that one section on Sunday so I can have staff park over there. And then the rest of that striping will happen Monday, Tuesday. And then it'll be completely done and ready to go for kids to arrive. The track surface is down. The color isn't purple yet. Remember, our track will be purple with gray exchange zones. That's starting tomorrow. The turf's all obviously down. The restroom, bathroom, concession bar structure is getting close. Ticket booth is going up. Our main hurdle right now is the stadium and press box. And the reason that's kind of a significant hurdle, it's not just a structure, but all of our electronics that go into there, those people can't get into that space until that's up and ready to go. So our cameras, our PA, our low voltage, our Wi-Fi drops, all that kind of stuff. Even if they got that press box up the day before the game and we're ready to go, all those other contractors won't have time to do what they needed to do. So anyway, anything else you think we can?
Those are the main pieces.
Okay, Scott's on the agenda in a little bit to talk about budget transfer, but
What was the reason behind the hold up on the grandstands? Like the concrete below it?
we want mine or the person we're talking to's reason.
Either way.
I mean, my version is they planned poorly. It should have been done. This is one of the first things we booked back in March. They were one of the first people we paid. They're
Who were they?
Who are they?
Sturdy Steel.
Sturdy Steel, yeah, so we're not a Sturdy Steel fan.
Iconic one.
They have complained, or their frustration, I think, is with getting Oregon engineered stamped drawings. Is that their biggest complaint?
Yeah, they didn't get a review comments from the county permitting agency in a timely manner. Sort of claim.
We had to do as-built, they had to do as-built then instead?
No, not as built. What, it was more,
they turned in all their construction drawings, and it took a while to get county comments. When the county comments came in, some were things Sturdy Steel should have known, and other things were surprises, if you will, but it just took them a while to turn those around because they were not set up to respond to some of the comments. And one of which was redimensioning all their drawings to a particular scale and so forth, so that wasn't something that was easy for them to do. So a lot of back and forth, but yeah, we feel that vendor dropped the ball. Unfortunately, as a subcontractor, we don't have any control over them, we have control over the general contractor, pushing the general contractor to push the subcontractor, but we reach out directly to the subcontractors.
And that's Benchmark and Delta, is that right?
Benchmark is the general contractor, Delta is a sub, just like Sturdy Steel, but yes.
And this was all over the foundation plan for the concrete for the stands, correct?
Foundation plan as well as the vertical structure as well. There was
Vertical structure was-
Yeah.
Structure. Cause it sat with rebar in it for.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we did place concrete a couple places prematurely because it was not clear that this guy was even going to inspect those. And so again, trying to push schedule along. Well, goalposts, we placed those foundations. And so now we have to do some due diligence to show that they were done in per engineer drawing, which they were, and there's thousands of them put in across the country, but nonetheless.
But the rebar wasn't inspected before pouring.
There is no rebar for goalposts.
What's in
For
there?
the pad.
Was bad.
We needed to wait to get issued the permit.
Right.
Oh,
And they wouldn't issue that. Once we get the permit, then we can schedule the inspection. The permit, again, was just back and forth on their drawings, their comments. Finally, we got a third, I thought we were kind of over the hurdle, we poured Saturday. Now we got this issue with Sturdy Steel and saying it's gonna be delayed a week for us to get the press box, so.
This has been a very slow turnaround by the county, and the county changed their submission process partway through your project, so submissions that were made were never seen by the county and had to get resubmitted under a different format, and so it was a laborious process. The county was not paying us.
Has any of this caused like undue overtime or anything?
Yes. I don't know about undo, but we've definitely,
There's definitely been overtime. The district is not yet paid for that overtime because we're having the contractor absorb it, but yes.
the other thing I would say, just to make sure you understand, when we're in these meetings, Scott's talking about, he's on the general contractor to hold their subs to the fire. I will say he does a very good job of that. So the other thing I would mention is that I've had to get on my knees and grovel on multiple emails and Zooms with the county, essentially begging, which I think is the only reason we got that permit on Thursday, because they basically stayed late, moved us up in the queue, got us that permit. It's just constant. I would not want to be a general contractor, I can tell you that for this.
you try to avoid county projects.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, well, the gymnasium and restaurant projects with me, that we got that permit in 2 weeks.
From the city. City of Benita, totally different operations.
County, we're, 5-6 months in, and there's still a couple of approvals we have ours, but we're still proceeding.
Okay, that's all I got.
Now back to me, I guess, mostly. Student reps. Thank you.
Start off, I know this is really kind of unprofessional, but is there an ice machine? Because I need to ice my knee.
We do not have an ice machine. We might.
There's nice.
Find a nice something for you.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
A nice pack, our first date, yeah.
You want the first, thank you.
Yeah, I was on
That's all you got for us though?
No, yes,
Oh.
that's something legit. I just needed to take care of that.
Obviously, it's summer, so I don't have much to report on, but something that's been brought up to me by both parents and students throughout the summer is an outdoor graduation. Don't know if it's up to your guys' jurisdiction, but it is something that parents have heavily pushed and want, and so students. And yeah, even if, cause I heard there's a rumor about something with another there's a conflict with it, cause an event happening beforehand or something. And so parents were already frustrated, I guess, reaching out about that frustration. I agree, honestly, with an outdoor graduation, don't know how it is.
Along, there's definitely no reason to get frustrated in August of 25.
I do agree, there's just some parents that are.
I think Sid's plan, there'll be there should be, I think we have graduation committee this year. So there'll be a kid on the graduation committee, Angela said, that usually plans, are we gonna have music? Is it gonna be a student playing the guitar? Are we gonna be inside or outside? That'll be one of the conversations. So maybe you can stay in communication with Sid, maybe it can be one of you that's on the graduation committee. No, I definitely don't have any qualms about it, and know that in the building of this new stadium, we've intentionally done some things, including power outlets in the middle of the field we can pull off so that we can have outdoor events and graduation there. Some of it will always be dependent on the weather, but know that from my perspective, it's a high school decision. I wouldn't say it's a school board decision on how they hold graduation, but that committee should have student voice on it. And if the kids want to have it there should be no reason we couldn't have it outside. Especially with the new facility, and the old one was a little harder.
Yeah. Another thing, I don't know if it's up to your jurisdiction or at all either, but it's just thing to bring up because I had it on my mind because I remember, so we took state testing as juniors and it was a 10-year low. And I didn't know how the state testing process goes on like what kids have after they take the test, because I know this year is kind of like a study hall. And we knew that up front, that once you finish your test, you knew from the beginning that there was no weight on it against yourself personally. Yes, you knew that staff or the teacher would know, and your parents. But there was a study hall afterwards, which I think pushed kids through the test very fast. I know kids that are very, very bright and rushed through it
Yeah,
because of that.
it's study hall meaning you could be on your phone
Free time.
because.
Yeah. There was like free time, and I didn't know if there was anything we could do about that, like more precautions moving forward. If there was something heavily weighted, like not telling kids after, or like having somewhat of a weight. Like Miss Nelson talking to her about it even afterwards, because we were just like, wow, shocked.
Describe what you mean to me by weight.
Like not weight, but like we brought up like, so what's it called? Spanish 3, what's it called? Not NHS, but the honors diploma.
Oh.
If you could add it on to honors diploma, like you have to hit like all threes for like hit benchmark, for instance.
We have, I would say, again, I would start that conversation with Sid at the building level, each building. In our first administrative meeting in August, we reviewed all the building scores, each grade level. Obviously, high school is one grade, 11. You're right, it was it was more around the state average, where in previous years, our high school's been 15-20% above the state average. So I know the high school is gonna be having conversations with teachers and students, definitely get engaged in that. What you mentioned about the cord thing, we have to be real careful with, when they first started state testing in the early 2000s, I was an elementary principal, we did all kinds of stuff. We were handing out lollipops, suckers, great job. And then they just came down, they can't do any of that. Sid did ask me to pose the question. I think I CC'd you on my email to Amy Rockwell at ODE, where I'm investigating the cord thing for graduation. So can we say, it's not a immediate, I'm announcing over the intercom, Riley failed her state test and Jake passed. Everybody high five Jake today and give Riley the stink eye. But can we allow kids to wear their science, their math, and their English state testing cord if they pass them at graduation? Right now, that is a component of the honors diploma, but there's a lot of other things. So she actually responded to my email today and said she's forwarded it on to the correct person at ODE. But any ideas the kids had around motivating other kids to do their best would be great. The other thing that would help is, we had several kids at high school that are smart kids just opt out. When they opt out, the count says don't participate. If every kid in our high school 11th graders opted out of the test, we'd have 0. Percent would be 0. They count as a fail. Whereas our kids, like you mentioned, especially with your junior year, if you're taking an AP, a couple AP exams, that's your focus. And now I've been doing that for a week, and now I'm gonna go and take the state test today.
Directly after.
So if kids have ideas about how to motivate other kids to just do their best, I'm sure Miss Vandekar and Miss Smith or Mr. Smith would be all ears.
I think that with the new phone ban, that might be better because it was after you finish your test, you could go. Where could we go? It wasn't, we don't know because we took the AP test, so it was different for us, but yeah, but like after, I think after.
So like when you finish, you gotta go from the line.
It's.
It's been a little like. A 7-minute one.
Yeah. All the great ideas. If you guys have ideas from a kid perspective on things that we could do to motivate, to just get their best effort, that'd be great.
Ask some peers what we do.
Yeah. But it can be something.
Take a poll.
There can't be something.
Yeah, that's all we have for sure.
Yeah.
No, all right.
It's all, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in the summer.
Yeah.
What did you need, Riley?
I took a break from working out because I hurt my hip a little over a month ago, and so I have weak joints. And so then I started working out again, and I have pushed it too hard. And today I was walking around all day because I was touring OIT, so it was, and then sitting 90 degrees for 8 hours just isn't good. So.
All right. Recommendation for budget transfer for site work package, Scott's up.
Well, sort of, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so, we are doing, site work right now, I'll kind of actually blow out to a bigger picture here, so. You have about 80% of your bond promises currently in some form of construction, either just about finishing or have finished. But we really accelerated a lot of that work to try and meet some of the inflation, so again, 80% of your bond promises will be executed, implemented here within the next month. And so we're only having about 20% of that follow into next year or next summer, if you will, which will primarily be the Bonita Elementary School parking lot and then the interior renovations here at the middle school, which is more maker labs and science areas. But everything else, all of the bond process will be accomplished. To that end, so we're moving really fast on a few things. But for site work, we've ran into some unknown conditions, and unfortunately, just existing as-built of your underground systems, utilities, are incomplete. So we have discovered some things while digging. We've had some potholing trying to minimize damage, but we still have some of that. And also some of the utility systems that are there are just simply in horrible condition. We had a storm line that was 18 inches in diameter that was fully plugged. So that's been plugged for a year, 10 years, don't know. So kind of going through some of that, but with that backing up, what that's done is it's broken things apart and then a variety of other things. So we also had some soft soils, and sometimes that happens as a result of the storm drain. If it backs up, it saturates your subsoils, and some of which was evident and we knew, like your west parking lot in your high school, or excuse me, east parking lot in the high school. We had seen that undulation. You definitely see the Bonita Elementary School parking lot. So we know that we have some substrate that's going to need to be removed and replaced with structural fill. That's a very known thing. But basically the whole west side of your campus, storm drainage system is much harder to interpret what's going on there because we didn't have as much paved surface there. You had an old track and, periodically you resurface that, but everything else is just soft scale. It's hard to tell what's going on. When we're doing this much hardscape now that we're doing, we have to meet, current storm drainage criteria. That's just a functional storm system, but the other part of it though is just meeting requirements for slope, for materiality, and for detention on site. We have a large detention structure, so that just kind of added to our overall cost. So you can see in the outline there is that we had multiple breaks. We found existing storm lines that no longer met current codes. When we can't just fix it, we actually have to replace it per code as opposed to replace it the way it was. So we had a much larger storm system investment than we anticipated. Soft soils, we had 13 locations where we had soft soils where we had to excavate it out and put in structural fill. And I hate to spend that kind of money on just moving dirt, but it is a necessity to create a strong foundation. And then just inadequate subgrade. One of the reasons your east parking lot was failing so much is in many cases you had less than 2 inches of asphalt. That doesn't work so well as when you've got bus and car traffic and everything else over the years. And so when we milled that down, we found that when we milled it down 2 inches, there was no asphalt left. We were hoping to do an overlay in some sections, and we just couldn't do an overlay, and take it down to gravel and then rebuild that. So that added to that. And then at Fern Ridge Middle School, we all thought that your sanitary sewer system was just under your soccer field. That's where the drain fields are in the lake. No, you also had an active one in that back corner over there, which we discovered while digging. So it was not in any as-built systems or anything like that. Now, it wasn't like an explosion and affluent went everywhere, nothing like that. It's just, they did and said, pipes, what's this? So they started to investigate more and they found that you do have an active, sanitary system that primarily feeds the locker room areas back there. So, because it hasn't been maintained, we actually have to decommission it. We can't just fix the pipe and broke. So because once you discover discoveries of can be a bad thing, you have to deal with it. So you have to deal with it for code. So we did have to put in a holding tank. We did have to run it to the soccer sanitary system, which is plenty size and plenty for that need, because there wasn't a lot of people taking off there. But that did add additional costs that were not anticipated for the sidewalk investment for that. So it's good that we find things. Again, it wasn't on any of the district's as-built. We spoke to 3 facilities directors before, Dan, that we still keep contact with them. No, they didn't know about that either. So it was original to the school. So anyway, it's again, good that we find that. We chose to deal with that system and address it and decommission it and then attach it to your existing system rather than stop everything, redesign and go a different direction. Because redesigning and going a different direction would have taken out more parking in the back. That didn't seem like a really good idea. You don't want to take away our parking. So, yeah, so that's what we're doing right now. That's why some of the work, if you go to the back of the middle school, you can see some of it seems like it's been dug out for footings for a while. That's because we had to pause on that, do the septic, and then come back to that. So.
It looked deep too.
Yeah, it did look deep.
It looked deep. When I went and visited, I thought, why is it so deep?
Yes, yeah, structural code continues to change and overturn seems to be one of the biggest challenges for structural right now is creating a big enough, a heavy enough foundation, if you will, so your structures are going to want to lift on you. So that's a good thing, but they sort of, the code keeps, the goalpost keeps changing. So,
And the new design was put in a pump system for the locker rooms and then pump it to the newer.
Basically, yeah, kind of a holding tank and then help it to meet grade that way.
Yeah.
So it's not a complex system that was put in, just to bypass it.
Yeah.
How were the soft soils and all that stuff, I suppose not found in the geotech stuff before the project started?
You know, that's a great question. I've ran into that most of my life when I think about a job I did at 4J. I used to be a project manager on 4J staff back in the early 90s, 93 to 95. And we had a geotech, we were doing a new addition at Willie Gillespie Elementary, for anybody that knows that, come over by Valley River. We did 8 borings. Completely missed. We had 8 borings for the new addition. 8 seemed plenty. We were even contemplating doing 6. 8 borings and they completely missed an underground waterway right through there. And it just kind of went like this. And when you do a grid of borings, it just kind of bypassed and missed them. We didn't know until we started digging. Oh, well, what was this? So yes, geotech does catch things in general. The geotech is primarily catching what is the general consistency of your soils, the general bearing capacity. Geotechnical analysis and borings are not designed to catch what are the soft areas in those locations. Geotech observation during construction definitely catches soft areas. Because as you're excavating, we'll see something with a suspect or they'll do a proof roll test. And if it starts to pump, they go, okay, this is a soft area. It looks like it's back in, but it flexed under the truck. So then we have to go back and remove parts of those. Part of that was on your track. You're investing in your track, you want that to stay a long time. But geotechnical investigation primarily is identifying the type of soil, the bearing capacity of your soil, and recommendations from the geotech of what you should do for the footings for your grandstand, footings for your retro building, etc. So, if you're lucky, a boring might catch a soft soil, but that's just sort of a coincidence. It's not a plan event.
Wasn't there a bunch of upheaval and stuff in the parking lot though, a bunch of uneven surfaces, stuff you could see with the naked eye beforehand?
In the east parking lot, yes, there were some, yeah, those 13 spots don't incorporate that. So we had some of those areas we had to put in the design to over-X from the beginning, because we just knew they were bad, especially in the bus lane. So these were primarily in the west spot, or the west lot, and in the track area, the field area, so, yeah. And a lot of that was where that failed storm system had been. So, yeah.
Question over at the middle school. So did I hear you say that the new system is going to be tied? Yes, the new system is going to be tied into the old system.
The locker rooms will be tied into the soccer field system. So we're getting rid of the oldest system. That's decommissioned and just gone.
The whole thing.
behind the lock, behind in that far corner, that'll just be gone, yes.
Okay, and then the new system that's going in, is it gonna be independent?
No, so it'll come out of the locker rooms, they'll have a line, we'll have a tank, we'll have a pump, and it'll connect to the soccer field system. So you're still, so where we thought we only had one system, and we turned out kind of one and a smaller one, and get rid of that smaller one and just tie it to the one system that we always knew we had. So you won't get any new system, but there is cost to get it to the soccer field system.
I'm just wondering about, how do we know about system? If there's so much trouble that we found this time, how do we know that not the new system, but the other systems that we have in the district are working?
Because we have those inspected annually. So yes, yeah, we have a service that comes in and they will pump them, they'll check the systems, they'll actually camera them, that kind of thing. So, yeah,
So if they come annually, do they miss this?
because nobody told them we had that system.
Because nobody knew about it.
Nobody knew about it.
How do you fill up?
Because it has a leach field, and so it just slowly kind of leach and kind of leach out. So it wasn't a tank. If it was a tank, yeah, we'd find it like, oh, what's coming out of the tank? But no, this is a leach field, so. And it was working generally, but it's only the locker room load, so it's a very small load. So, you know, and I was actually surprised. I've got to guess that when we did the soccer field system, or when you did the soccer field system, whenever that was, there was probably a lot of load that was put on that nobody knew was actually stripping away from the old system in the back. Because couple of locker rooms is not gonna fill that system anytime soon, so, yeah.
Is that like not required to be on blueprints then?
It is right in limits.
So we just don't know what happened to them?
Most school districts that I work with about 75 school districts. Most school districts have incomplete as-built conditions. Incomplete as-built systems. They were done on the negative paper, the blue background, the white lines, and there's only one hard copy, no digital. And it gets misfiled, it gets burned, there's fires in middle school, there's fires in Bonita. Those things just get lost forever. So the idea is what we have now, what we've been incorporating in the last 20 years, is every time something is done, we have a digital copy. So we make sure that we're creating archives over time. And then when they found this stuff, every utility that they find underground, they're required to mark on their as-bills. Say, hey, you know, when we were digging, we found this electrical conduit. Don't know what it serves because we're not paying them to investigate that, but they're gonna identify on their as-bills that this conduit was there at that location. So at least we'll know in the future, if we go to dig in that area, there's a conduit there. So they need to be aware of, but yeah, it just.
Welcome to construction in small town USA.
Yeah, and just,
I'm surprised it's still working.
yeah. So, but in summary, so these, while we've absorbed multiple smaller, additional costs, the site work has kind of taken a big hit, and I think we're advocating about 240,000 to move from bond program contingency. What did I say? 230. 230,000 to move from bond program contingency to the site work project budget. I know some of the board members here are new, but a year ago, we adopted a bond management plan to put monies in 4 different project budgets, what we call package 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 was the high school athletics. 2 was interior renovations at Fernridge Middle School, the high school in Canada. Package 3 was all mechanical upgrades, and package 4 was site work. And we certainly have commingled some activities for the athletics and the site work. We commingled them because it was efficient for the district. We let those under one contract, but we haven't commingled the funds. We've kept the funds very isolated. So this, while we discovered a lot of this during the athletic project, it was actually for the site work funded work, which was primarily around the parking lots and so forth. So what we're advocating for is for the $230,000 over, and still leaves you 1.15 million in your bond program contingency. And right now, we're sitting right about, don't spend money yet, that's, I say is extra, but right now, we're probably gonna spend every dime of the athletic package. I'm confident that package 2 and 3, which is the interior renovations and mechanical, will probably have some money left over at the end of the day. I don't wanna say how much, we'll have some money left over. And site work would definitely be in the hole if we don't make this shift over, because I still have one more project to do under site work, which is the Bonita Elementary School parking lot next year. And we probably, just, you know, full transparency, we'll probably come to you probably the end of this calendar year to add a little bit more to the site work project for the added property that you're buying and expanding that parking lot. That was never part of the original bond. It was part of the bond to completely replace that parking lot. in buying this property, expanding that wasn't so, but it's too early to say, hey, we need to add this much more, because something's been designed yet, to buy it, I can do surveying, so.
Are there any other big ticket projects that you think are gonna use up any more of that contingency? Need elementary parking lot?
No, because like I say, 80% is gonna be done here in the next month or so. You only got 20% left. The only two big projects are the new parking lot and the interior renovations here. And while the interior renovations here could run into some unforeseen conditions, that one's a bit more scalable. It's hard to say I'm gonna do 2/3 of your parking lot, not the rest, but that one's a little bit more scalable in terms of what we do in each of the interior renovation spaces. So I'm more confident about that one. We did reserve a significant amount back, even after we did the Benita Elementary School gym restrooms and the high school restroom building and signs. So we kind of had an understood breakdown of each of those budgets. It was sort of understood, even though it was one big package of money, so that we reserved an amount that is commensurate with what's gonna be needed there, plus a little bit more. And we have project contingencies within each of those 4 projects.
Is that 1.15 million, is that project in general, or can it be broken down through the smaller projects that you have left? Like, is there a percentage of any of those? I was just curious.
Yeah, broken down to apply to those?
Yeah.
It can. I'm hopeful that we won't have to process that, except for the Benita Elementary School parking lot addition. And typically the way to survive an audit is, say I'm gonna have money left over on the mechanical job, and we will have some money left over. They don't like us to take from the mechanical job and put it over to site work. Auditor likes you to take from the mechanical job and put it in your bond program contingency, and then from your bond program contingency, put to a site work or something to that effect. And so that's a 2-step action that the board would need to take. And that way it's just a very clear paper trail of what you're doing. So the auditor can go, oh, I get why you did that. Yeah, so it's a 2-step process. I'm hopeful that, again, other than the elementary school parking expansion, we don't draw from that the rest of the bond. And hopefully we return some money from packages 2 and 3, and we'll just, it's a little too early to tell right now. But we're planning on getting all your bond promises done by the end of summer 26. That doesn't mean that you won't still have some bond work in summer 27, but that'll be a fun conversation to have. It'll be, okay, we've done all our bond promises, we got this much money left over. What are our priority projects? And then how do we determine that as a district and as a board? And what does that look like? Because the district, has more needs than was on your bond. So I know, staff has voiced ideas, and the district's voiced ideas, and we've got irrigation systems that were not on your bond, but I know are struggling in some areas just because they're old antiquated systems. But other people want more field space, more development in the middle school. There's all sorts of things that you could do. So there'll have to be some sort of prioritization process, whether through the district, through the board, through your bond oversight committee, and they're anxious, they've got ideas as well. So that could be a very dynamic process. I wouldn't recommend spending savings until fall of 26. We gotta get through these last few high risk things first. But
Is there any more major change orders you see coming through from? Cause you say we're 80% done, so I mean, we should be past that stage.
yeah, I mean, this reflects kind of some of the biggest changes we just ran into in the last 60 days. We're negotiating some smaller changes, but nothing that our project contingency or the projects would cover. Ran into a problem today, conflict, I'm guessing that's gonna be in the $4,000 to $5,000 or $5,000 range, so smaller, but our project contingency is gonna take care of it, so. I don't see it, I mean, unless I gotta buy a new
Other
press
than
box.
Like you mentioned, we will probably be coming back in the spring about the expansion of the Benita Park.
Expansion of the Benita parking lot, for sure.
The other thing I'd mention is this doesn't account for any interest we've earned.
Yes.
And I'll be disappointed. Like, my goal is we're done with all of our work. We've got over $1 million, and I definitely think we're gonna achieve that.
Yeah, even if I took 400 grand out of that for the Benita expansion, and I'm just spitballing, probably be about that much. I'm confident that between the interior renovations and the mechanical work, we'll put at least that much back in. So, and again, it doesn't even look at your bond interest. So, and Quan, I don't know if you're still on, and if you've got a sense of where we're sitting bond interest wise.
I am still here. I know last year, we collected a little over 500,000 in bond interest.
When you got $45 sitting in the account, apparently.
It's
you
got a
don't.
pretty high number.
You make money.
I remember last month I asked the question and we're like 3 weeks into the month, we earned $50,000, like less than a week or so.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice when you don't spend your money because you're gaining interest, but then you have inflation beat you if you don't get your work done. So I mean, it's a dam for sure.
And each month that goes by, we're earning less interest because we're spending money.
And understand you're just sitting in a good time right now because you had a lot of interest and it's starting to slow a little bit. I've noticed in the last few months, it really picked up kind of in your first year, if you will, but it slowed down the last few months. Centennial School District, they went through the first 2 years of a bond with almost no interest. They got a lot of interest in that third year, but it was a lot of interest on only maybe 20% left of the bond because they've done that work. So it is very, very difficult to sort of predict. And so that's why we never incorporate bond interest in any of the project promises. That bond interest gonna sits over here, it's stuff to do later. Also keep in mind too, is that you only have to spend 85% of your bond proceeds in the first 3 years. You have nearly an unlimited amount of time to spend the last 15%. Now, there's always enough needs that you do spend it, but Scappoose School District, they spend about 9 years to spend their last 5%. They just gotta put it in a rainy day fund and then it boils.
The interest or the last 15% of the bond.
Of the ball.
So when you return that, you mentioned that's how you return what you don't use, correct?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are options where you could say, okay, I'm gonna. We did it all, we've got $1 million left over, let's return it to the voters and so forth. And there are financial advisors that will tell you no, because people get a lot less than what they actually put in after everything is processed. So it's better to just put it into a rainy day fund, so when you have a roof that goes bad, or a boiler that goes bad, or a water heater or whatever, you have funds to take care of that, and you're not cutting staff or cutting programs or making other, financial decisions that are detrimental to education, so.
Is there another option other than the contingency to pull that money from?
Currently, no, our bond program contingency was kind of set up that way to begin with. So on day one, when we approved the bond management plan, we stripped out money from all 4 of those project buckets and put it in the bond program contingency. And trying to do those projects for basically 5% less. And so when we have an unexpected condition that is beyond what the broad project contingency can absorb, then we come to the board and ask, can we move some from bond program contingency to cover that? So all the projects are starting out lean, and 3 of the 4 will probably be okay. So it's the 4th one site work that we just ran into a lot of unforeseen conditions. So, but no, there's no other pot. I think we'd be probably faulted by our community if we had lots of different sort of pots of money. So we try to be very transparent to say, here's our 4 project budgets, and the 5th one is bond program contingency that we can borrow from for any of these projects that have unexpected or unforeseen conditions. But we have to go through the board to do that. And that was part of what the board adopted a year ago, which was designating to the superintendent to move funds around within any one project. So like within the interior renovations, we can just get Gary's signature on, how we move that around within a project, because it's the project budget itself contained. But any funds moving from bond program contingency or between project budgets requires board approval. And that's how we keep that separation. Probably more explanation than you needed, but what we're doing now is we're saying we want to move 230,000 over to handle these more recent, the last 60 days, changes that have occurred within site work. Do we have to do that? We don't have to, but you'll be roughly $230,000 short when I go to start the native parking lot. So plus whatever we need for the expansion. So if we don't agree to this, I'll be coming back to you probably in November asking again, plus for the expansion. So we're trying to do this in real time as these things come up, rather than just kind of holding them and getting with a big number later.
So just real quick, is there any way to make sure we don't end up in this boat when we do the Benita parking lot?
Well, we're gonna, as Scott described, we're gonna be in the boat because.
No, I mean, from a construction standpoint,
Yeah.
making sure, potholing more, planning better.
Again, I think if we potholed or planned better, we would end up spending this money and knowing we're spending it in March instead of now. So and maybe you would have made other decisions about the program investments, and so I don't know that this is a bad thing. So I mean, it's unfortunate, yeah, you have these issues, but yeah, I mean, I could go out there and have the contractor spend 50, 60 grand in potholing and investigation and flushing and so forth. And all that they would do would be uncover this 230 grand worth of stuff. And I don't know that we would avoid it per se, so. Might have avoided that septic item, but if we knew that that septic was there, but literally was on no plans, so.
Well, we'd have to do something about it anyways, even if we found it. I mean,
Sure, yeah, so.
I totally get what you're
Yeah.
saying, regardless if you find it or not, you still gotta do something about it.
If we were finding these at the end of your bond and you were real short, you had like half that bond program contingency, then I'd say, yeah, this feels like it's not. Wasn't thought out well, wasn't designed well, wasn't planned well. But where you're still gonna have over $1 million left and you've done 80% of your work. I feel you're in a really good position, so, yeah.
And from a construction standpoint,
Sure.
it sucks to miss your excavation, your storm drain by 77,000.
Yeah.
At the bidding process, but I'm, and I'm asking how to avoid that, because you really hope to not see that when you're in the middle of your project.
Sure, well, yeah, but you're not in the middle, I mean, you're towards the end now, so. And you spent over $800,000 on your storm system on that site, so it's a 10% hit.
10%,
Yeah. So it's just existing stuff, so this is in bad shape. I think if you found it at the very beginning, then you might have made other program decisions that maybe you didn't need to do. You might say, you know what, maybe we, don't need the concession booth, we'll set up a table. Would that have been the best long-term decision? Because, we tend to buy less when we are running very conservatively at the very beginning. We tend to buy less and invest less and make the facility something less. But when we know we have a bond program contingency and we do a level of due diligence, still define these things later. What you're doing, you're saying, what's the best for the program? What's the best for kids? What's the best long-term to invest for our program? And then making sure that we don't overspend our bond program contingency. Again, you're gonna have over $1 million left in 80% of your work.
No, I get all that. I think what WC and I are both thinking is that if you miss by 77,000, it's 10%. That's typical margin on a job in the private sector.
Yeah.
You miss it by that much and you're out of business.
Yeah.
And it just seems unacceptable to, stuff only happens in government jobs, I guess. It just seems like you guys go, please.
Where did this get missed? I guess that's what.
I'm not frustrated about it. I'm just saying that amount is the profit margin in a private sector job. If that job was 700,000, 77,000 is 10% of it. That is your profit margin for the entire job.
And that would be a profit margin probably in a public job as well. Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
I get it, but again, 10% isn't that, I've been in a long time, 10% change order isn't unheard of either, so it doesn't seem that.
Sure, but this was for storm lines that were not in the design for them to do anything with, they're not even touched. So it's not like they undercut and now squeezing the district for money. We just don't let that happen. But this was the existing storm line they were gonna tie in to. And they went to tie it into it and went, oh, there's something not wrong with this existing line that went the length of your property. So yeah, when we talk about. Yeah, they're definitely, I've got a contractor that says he's, 100 grand in the hole on your renovation projects.
Yeah.
I say, sorry.
You did it wrong.
You did it wrong, I guess, or whatever, but, yeah, we try to be fair and reasonable, but we don't give them, it's like he wants overtime for the gym floor over there. I said, no, because I saw 3 days where he wasn't working during the week, so no, you don't get the overtime. So those are the things we definitely push back and squeeze on. These were all things that were added scope, finding the septic system, finding the existing storm line they were gonna tie into, was, basically inadequate, so we had to replace that existing line, so.
Sorry for the ignorance, but you are the oversight to say, cause that's what we see in the construction world. People add money to the change orders. And to say they don't is crazy, and I think that's what.
There's 3
Ryan are fishing for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, I hear what you're saying. No, there's 3 sets of eyes that look at every single change order that comes in, whether it's $2,000 or $200,000.
Yeah, that's the only reason I was saying something. It's a known thing to be able to add money from change orders.
That's how you make up the money.
That's how you make money.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, there are limits on their markups that we're allowed. And then we go over the scope, and they can't just give us a lump sum. They have to lay out all the materials, cost for every material. We call them, double check, show me the invoicing on that. And then the hours. So we push back a lot on the hours. We say, well, is it really taking this? And tell me the unit rates for each of these guys. And does it really take, 20 hours to do this map?
Right.
It really does, And then maybe they'll explain something about.
He's raised.
So, yeah. But no, there's a lot of pushback. I've got one right now that's about 25 grand for additional saw cutting over the high school signs that I've looked at it in 6 different ways, and I said, guys, this is maybe 12, it's just not, what you're saying. I realize it was unexpected, but, so I mean, there's a lot of those pushbacks that happen with change orders. Yeah, we definitely don't just hand all these over to Gary and say, close your eyes and sign. No.
I can assure you in all the meetings I've been in with Scott where this topic comes up and whatever the issue is, he's asking all the right questions and pushing back. We're getting more data before nothing's ever just approved.
I've got 3 of your contractors angry with me, so I feel like I'm trying to. Perfect. I've got one that won't return my call, so I gotta find a new way to work with him, so.
Sorry for all the questions, because I don't know how it all works, so.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I mean, it's like Gary's got his day job, Juana's got her day job, she's got her day job. And so you need somebody that has been in the industry. So I've been doing this about 37 years. On the school district side, on the design side, a little bit on the construction side. And so I'm taking this, and then I've got guys that work with me that are either been builders or civil engineers or whatnot. And they're checking these things too. When I see something that I'm not familiar with unit cost, I take to one of my guys in the office and say, guys, is this even in the realm of right? And sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we review entitlement first and then value. So if it's not entitled, then get beyond there. It's like, guys, no, this isn't a contract. Our price is yours to eat. If there's entitlement, then we're reviewing guidance against the value.
So we need action, motion to approve this transfer from bond contingency to the site work budget.
I would like to make a motion to transfer the money to the site work budget.
I will second it. Discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
thank you, Scott.
Good to work for
Yeah, it is. And I will, talk with Mr. Carpenter, we'll probably do something like late September, early October. Summary report, all the bond work completed to date and what's coming up. So now I will see exactly where we're at with each of the budgets, with each of the schedules, and that sort of thing. Incorporating photos to life. That is still fun.
Thank you.
Fine.
Oh. Board operating agreement.
So we postponed that to September.
Yep, we already did that. Board meeting schedule.
That's what we showed you. We're looking for a motion to approve that. I don't know if you can pull it up again. We'll get it, not only added on the school board page, but we'll get those dates and times added to the district Google calendars.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve it based on our conversation earlier.
Second.
Discussion? Do you want to print a copy of that, Brian?
Oh, it's all good. I got it on here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, if you guys ever need anything, just let me know.
Is that not the one that we got given, sure, got given,
I probably see, they're not good.
Yes.
thank you.
It's different than the one on.
I can send it to you guys.
Yeah.
During the retreat, basically what we did is we added an hour to the beginning of each of our meetings for a work session, so we had more time to discuss.
All the yellow.
Yeah, and then we, 2 of the executive sessions, we decided not to have 3. So we eliminated the work meeting prior to do an executive session after.
You guys would always be welcome at a work session. You don't have to come. The agenda will go out, so there might be topics. For example, our next work session is board operating agreement and board goals. You might not be too interested in that. If there is a topic in a work session you want to attend, feel free.
Yeah, we both kind of wanted to come, but we're both busy today, so.
Jeez. So, no discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Board stipends, per our conversation in the work session.
So looking for board action here to either charge me to further investigate this or to not change the policy, keep it as it reads.
I make a motion to move forward with looking into it. Discussion? I think that's a good move. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Electronic devices.
Electronic devices, so we reviewed, it sounded like you guys were okay starting this at the beginning of the year, we got our document. For sure, we'll, I would imagine a few months in, kind of update on the board, we'll definitely collect data on how this is going, how many incidents are we having, it's handbook language, we change handbook language every year anyways, spring when the principals review, so. I guess what I'm looking for is action to approve this language for our 25-26 handbook. In the months to come, we'll adjust our board policy on this topic.
I would like to make a motion to approve the policy and start it at the beginning of the school year.
I would second that.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
All right, my principal's happy there.
I didn't think we were gonna get that pulled off tonight, man. First reading, proposed policy update.
Yeah, so this is this process was discussed a little bit at the retreat, tried to get organized here. Let me start with the easy part.
Oh.
So, only two. We're gonna deliver. Thanks.
If you have an extra one for the kids.
I do not. I'm sorry. So Mark had submitted a couple suggested policy changes. Let me make sure I don't have extra ones.
I can make those.
I like it. I do have extra. Okay, we're looking at GCDA/GDDA, criminal records checks and fingerprinting. What was submitted to consider, again, ran it by building principals, administrators, and they agreed that that would be a little more true to what we're doing. So it's on page 3, eliminating that sentence. That was the only change that was asked to look at. And everybody was in favor of that. So this is an easy one. When we're just modifying a policy like this, we don't need to have a first reading and a second reading. The board could just make a motion to adopt the edit to GCDA as shown there on page 3.
Can I explain it a little bit, just to clarify? So it says a volunteer that is not likely to have direct and supervised contact with students. That's the definition of a visitor. That's all it is. It's like you use the word volunteer and then you just defined a visitor. And seems like a small thing, but that's where loophole comes in. Somebody's a visitor, but they're a volunteer. Like, which one is it? So it's just a conflicting definition. That's all it is.
I'll make a motion to make this, I don't have it. As written.
CDA.
GCDA/GDDA.
Yeah, so I put them all in there, that's supposed to be. It's one policy.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Pretty confident for that side of the door. There's,
Right.
Brian. Oh, wait, no, those are together.
Both those gonna have.
Kathleen.
He gets both those to her. Yeah, he gets both those.
Okay, the second one is policy KK, visitors to district facilities. The first page, if it's, well, I guess you might not have it first. The one with the most red on it, is the one Mark suggested to consider. I talked with building administrators to summarize. There were some things they liked and some things they didn't. So I'll start with the easy part. The middle sentence there, before the morning bell, visitors and guests are not required to check in or register with the main office. That's really just gonna be at the elementary level. At the middle school and high school, before school, we still don't want unknown folks coming into the building before schools. So the second version is what the administrators would recommend. Across the board, there was no building principal that liked the idea of requiring ID. Right now, I think the concern, well, I know the concern was, it was mentioned that in, for example, in the high school handbook, it mentions we ask for ID. That's not the practice that we do on the ground. We ask for ID at the high school if we don't know them. At the elementary schools, at the middle schools, no ID is ever asked for. If we went down that path, although obviously it could be a different conversation if we go down the Raptor, I think the concerns from principals would be the conflict that would occur when a parent comes and you can't go eat lunch with your kid, you don't have ID. You can't go eat lunch with your kid, you can't visit the building if you don't have an ID. In conjunction with that, I would say their concern was also, is what does that really gain us? If Lisa's coming in with a bad intention and I got their ID, I know who Lisa is. So those two things, building principals were not a fan of. Including this language in this version that they signed off on, because we do think it should be a little more clear that when you come into the office, you have to sign in. So there should be nobody, once the bell rings at any level, going through the door and not stopping in at the office. So I think that's the conversation to have is, I'll also state if the board really wants this, we'll make it happen. But those were the concerns from principals. It's gonna create more opportunity for conflict, take up secretary's time, and people are just gonna flat out get turned away when they don't have ID.
So I got a question in regards to that. So if they come in and they're signing in, are we at any level verifying the name they're putting on the sheet is actually them? I mean, I know when I go in there and I sign my name, you guys know it's me. But somebody walks in, we haven't seen them before, they say, I'm John Smith. At that point, what is the procedure? Is anybody saying, hey, are you really John Smith? Who are you? Who are you here visiting?
I'll give my 2 cents, then I'll turn it over to Sid. At the high school level, I would say, we do ask for ID for people that they don't know. We ask for ID. The best example I would say would be child welfare people, or somebody that says they're law enforcement or works for the state or whatever. We're asking them to see their ID, we're scanning it, we're making a copy, that kind of thing. I just don't know, again, I've been out of the elementary level for a while, but at the high school, if someone's coming in there, we know who they are. If we don't know who they are, we're asking their name, pulling up the kid that they're coming to see, or what the contact is. Oh, you're on the emergency contact list. You're John. Would you check that person's ID if you don't know them? Yeah. Anyway, so that's, I think, would be the description of what it looks like.
So why is it different though? Why would it be different?
I'd be almost more concerned at the elementary school level, right? Steal my high school kid.
You see your meeting.
I'm sorry.
Why would it be different at the elementary level? I think it could. I think there would be room, and I think principals would be open to ID when requested, or at any given, we don't even need to say the reason, but internally we know the reason is, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, and I think that's good enough. I know that it worked. I know one day me and my wife couldn't pick up my kid, and my dad, bless his heart, retired guy, nothing better to do, shows up like typical old guy fashion an hour early. Tries to go stumble around down the hallways like, hey, I'm looking for a couple of little kids, does this whole deal. It's like, man, you can't be doing that. And they stop from right in the front, like, what's going on? Who are you? What are you doing? I can attest that it works,
Do you think at the elementary level, like I'm signing in and upon request, I'm giving ID, policy is, if I don't know them, giving ID?
I think you could do that. I think it would, if you'd be asking other questions anyway, like, why are you here?
Yeah.
We used to always have, like, let's say grandma or grandpa comes to pick up a kid, you would check their ID. Especially if you don't know them, but 99.9% of the people that walk in the door.
Right.
I think that's what's tricky for building principals. They're just like, we know everybody that's coming in, is what it feels like.
But I think from the board concern, we'd like to cover that 1%.
Right, so I think
How do we do that?
I like the idea of ID when requested.
Yeah, when requested, because they're so used to seeing the same people.
Yeah.
Right, I take my kid every day, they see me, hey, how's it going? They know me, I have a background check, right, we're good. But I think one time that somebody else walks them in there.
I think principals would be definitely on board with requesting ID, and our internal charge would be, you don't know them, you're requesting ID. So I could adjust, this and get some language and
Maybe it's money too, when you don't, like, are they there to pick up a kid and you don't know them, or are they there to go do something?
Right, well, whether it's a vendor or something,
Right.
you're gonna ask a vendor anyways, I mean, who are you?
They sign
Yeah,
it.
they sign in and if you know them, right, and then at the Benita Elementary, there's the resource rooms, you got the people coming in for that, I think. You know, we're trying to
Yeah,
get
got
covered.
somebody that always comes every Thursday to get X, you
Right.
know, they're still signing in, but we know them. If it's somebody for the first time,
And forgive me if I'm wrong, but they won't release a grade school kid unless there's been a call ahead to know, right?
Correct, and I mean.
unless they're on their emergency
Yeah.
list.
Unless they're on the emergency contact list, but the teachers hold the kids back in line, like they will not. Yeah, that, I thought that's how it
It's
was.
not just it's not just, you know, getting the kid out of school, it's people on school grounds. And again, I think the elementary schools are worth holding the same standard.
Yeah, well, I mean,
What do you suggest?
might be naive, but I almost think the elementary school is more important.
Yeah.
I mean, than the high school, I mean, honestly, I mean. Nobody's stealing Jake.
I wouldn't.
What do we, so what do we do?
What I've heard, I don't think we need to act on this. Let me go back to the principals and come up with some language that we could include in KK that requires everybody to sign in. And that we can ask, let them know we can ask for ID upon request. I don't necessarily think I'll put in the policy, it's gonna be where we don't know them. Because I'm a substitute secretary. I don't know anybody coming in. I might ask Lisa for her ID.
Yeah.
So.
And that's fair.
But so, yeah. That's how it goes.
And internally, our charge will be, you can ask anybody at all, you can ask for their ID, but we're always gonna ask for someone that you don't personally.
Is there a sign-in sheet right now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There is.
You just don't use it, Mr. Kirkpatrick.
Alright.
I've been guilty of that myself.
And also maybe send something out to parents to like, hey, update the emergency contact list. Or something, like if you think grandparents are going to twice a year and it's gonna be a thing, maybe put them on the, I don't know, is there only room for two or something?
Is that at registration?
Yeah, I feel like there's a push when
Yeah.
you go to regration, please update online
okay.
what your contact.
I also don't
Yep.
do any of that, so I should.
Good for you.
And the fact that they're very clear that the only people that can pick up that student is whoever's on that list. Unless there's a phone call, they're gonna show ID.
And even sometimes when we get phone calls, secretaries, if they don't recognize who's calling, they're gonna call back and say, is that our mom picking up? You know, okay, so what I heard is I'll meet with principals, draft some language, I'll probably have them run it by their secretaries, do they think this is implementable, what we're talking about? See if that works well, and then I'll even send that out to you, let's say it's done in a week, I'll get it out to you then, and be thinking about this before the September meeting. I think we might even, I can put this in practice before you even adopt the policy. So if I get administrators and secretaries to say, the language in here is good, we'll just start day one with it, knowing we're gonna update this policy at the September board meeting.
Okay, does that cover the intent you were looking for?
Yeah, for instance, we're exchanging the ID, kind of holding hostage, it's not necessary if it's just being presented, It does, and then the third paragraph right there, which is talking about larger events when people go straight to like Benita Elementary graduation. There's sometimes aunts and uncles, grandparents come as well. If they're funneled, controlled by all the staff, you know, I think I said last time that when I went through, it's almost like they're greeters. They're bodyguards them so you don't run down the hall, then you go straight to the gym, straight back out.
And I think if we insert the language around, we're gonna request ID sometimes, I'll stick that sentence back in.
So not hypocritical, otherwise like when you request my ID, well, it's because it's a special circumstance.
Sure.
Multiple people in there.
I like that, and I can get this, I would say within, if not by the end of this week, certainly next week, I'll get this draft out to you. And if anybody has thoughts, just email me back individually, and like I said, even though we might not adopt this till September, we'll get this in place day one and promote it to families.
And then same vein as we talked about in the working session right at the beginning. It seems like it's completely applicable to, you know, share these to you and WC, and then for board consideration, not even discussion, right? We got time for that, but still, so people like, just chew on it a bit. If we can get them to, and okay, it isn't like my thing, but you know, Kathleen O'Brien has a brand new idea, pushes out, it can get pushed out to us to avoid that rush. On like taking action something you're not quite comfortable with.
Yeah,
That's what
I'm hoping to get
advise
that.
for short order stuff, I really want to do that.
I didn't forward his along as quickly as I should have, and then when I got Lisa's, I forwarded them along. I'll get better at that, making sure whatever I'm getting in to send there, I'm getting out to you guys.
Okay.
And also remember, if you have any trouble, you know, I know it's not a lot of time, but when this does go up on Thursday, remember, you can lock in the Word doc, see all the attachments, like the minutes is a good one. Everybody can read the minutes, Lisa can catch them, typo or whatever. But yeah, earlier the better, and certainly I don't want you ever to feel like I'm getting pressured to do this right now. There's very few things that I need an immediate answer to. So, fair enough. All right, I'll work on that.
Or goals is next, and
That'll be one of our 2 items of the September meeting.
postpone that till September.
Mm-hmm.
Licensed employee registration, new hire, transfer, and others. And so who's giving that? Have you?
There's 2 hires, they require board action.
Yeah, you can pull up the report.
Yeah.
I guess it's listed right there.
Yeah.
So we just need board action to hire those 2 folks.
David.
I'll make a motion to approve the hirings as listed here.
I'll second it. Discussion?
No, this one.
This would be the time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Licensed personnel.
Getting to replace, this is just. Tiffany is replacing the 5th grade teacher. Right? Yep, Mark.
I don't know what grade Tiffany's gonna teach at. Yeah, I will take it.
It hasn't been assigned yet.
Wait, registration happens, how many kids we got at each grade level?
Yeah.
I think there's some ideas, but it's not locked in. It's not even locked in for her, actually, that she's gonna be in Veneta. There could be, depending on kindergarten enrollment in Elmira. When I communicated, Dawn to communicate with her, is I'm 90% sure it's gonna be Veneta, but there's still some element that, depending on enrollment, she could be teaching in Elmira. And this list is just FYI, no board action, but as a reminder, you only take board action on our certified folks. But these are some of our classified coaches that have been hired. Left.
Yeah.
Football or baseball? Small group. Okay. All right, so then that brings us to late items, closing comments, and board commentary.
I have one late item, that's just that I wanted to share. Today I had a Zoom with Upbeat. As a reminder, Upbeat, paid for by the Wren. Wren is funded, teacher, their primary focus is teacher morale and teacher retention. They do survey all staff, not just teachers, so custodians, classified, paraprofessionals, et cetera. But their focus is, they're gonna help us with 2 things that are funded by the Wren: exit surveys. We kind of got a process today. We got some stuff to review over the next couple of months, get them information. They've set a week or 10 days in late October. It's gonna be our fall staff survey. And then first week of December, there'll be the coaching meetings between the Upbeat person and the building principal. And then we have our, I don't remember the exact month, I wanna say it was March, when they'll do the spring survey. So just know that that's moving forward, to get, this data for our principals and then have their coaching following the receiving of that data about helping create action plans to improve the areas that need improving. So I'll keep you posted on that. But after our call today, I thought that all went well and we got a clear planning picture moving forward to start teaching them.
Maybe I'm confused, but did we go over and vote on the Raptor situation in this portion of the meeting, or did we just talk about it in the last one?
We were gonna make, Yeah.
You said you were gonna
He's gonna get.
go visit, go.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue to look into it.
Okay.
If I get an actual visitation set up, and I might get one set up tomorrow, I'll talk to the Springfield superintendent. I'll let everybody know in case any of you want to go.
Cool.
Thank you.
Anybody else got anything? Upcoming events?
I wanted to know the Papa's Pizza fundraiser that's put on by, the Teachers Association, Classified Association, is on August 27th. There's flyers out in the hallway, and all that money raised goes towards their, scholarships that they award. And the more money they raise, the more money they can hand out.
But
Yay.
is that no parents for?
It is,
Cool.
yes. And like, I've got some paper copies up there too, if you guys want to grab one on your mail.
Maybe we could facilitate like some sports teams going at the same time or something like that. Okay.
Rest of it's just about registration.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
Back
good.
to school days and registration.
Anything will happen. Then, Wednesday, Thursday are our big registration days this week.
I usually post sporting events on this list, although there are so many, but they are so easily accessible now on our new website that I didn't do that. So, if you guys wanna know all of our sporting events, please go to our Elmira High School website to see all that, cause it's good.
I just wanted to do a shout out. At the conference, one of the things that they asked us about, they wanted to know when a parent goes onto the website, how many clicks does it take to get to policies? Well, of course, two, no, one.
Is it just one?
Once you're on the website,
For us, it's one.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, there were, yeah, so I was.
You're right, they said,
There was some gold stars there.
yeah,
Mhm.
they did say too, we're one, once you're there.
The other thing, just for an FYI, 'cause it's a little bit different this year, so if you hear people talking about it, SID has moved high school registration to Elmira Elementary just due to construction and parking, so it's been promoted well, but.
Our registration was last week,
What?
for you students?
So.
The registration at the high school, then Wednesday and Thursday will be at Elmira Elementary.
Will there be somebody at the high school to let them know?
Yeah, it's been promoted. I mean, all high school folks should know. Just last week, Michelle did a post about everybody's registration, where it's at. So, if they show up at the high school, hopefully they catch on quickly. Put some signs on the door.
And please apologize to the middle school principal for the 43 knucklehead 5th and 6th grade boys that were putting on football gear at the same time that there was school registration going on.
Oh, yeah, wow.
So that didn't go super awesome,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it was kind of last, football was arranged in there, and then last minute we decided we had to move registration in there. Here's what it is, we gotta share it. So.
I think that concludes our.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep, I just did. We done. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right, I gotta sign.
You gotta sign from.
That's right. That's fine.
And there, just the two. Here, is that?
Yes.
On the tabs.
From Myra Elementary, yes, you can get your first taking.
Any chance?
My whole heart.
These, garlic chicken, Mark was, garlic chicken, you have, I don't wanna say this out loud, is it still recording? Remember it was